Garba, how you doing? I think that's it. Okay, cool. Cause I've got you and I know. Good. Just wanted to stop by and see some editing. Nice. I'm gonna change song though, cause bro. Oh my god, photo work for $75 an hour. Nice. My YouTube videos, I've increased my prices, but normally it's like my YouTube videos are $25 each. So for the whole thing, I am increasing my prices though for like any upcoming new clients, but not to a lot, like 30. And then TikTok is $10 per TikTok. Yeah, everyone tells me, everyone in the community, at least in Apex, they like charge like 50 at least. So, don't know. I will. How long do you spend? On YouTube videos, not that long to be fair. Like as you can see, like I'm skimming through it, like it's not that hard. Of their quality and skills, they do the exact same thing as me, just cutting, and they cost like 50. If anything, they always tell me like I put way less effort than you, and I'm still getting paid more than you. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to be fair with my prices. I understand that content creation is not like content creation is not for everyone. Not everyone is getting like thousands of dollars per month. So. I think people like working with me more for TikToks than YouTube. That's just, they don't know. I'm the god of YouTube. Goddess, I guess. Yeah, it's good to be fair with your prices. Can't you see yourself? assisting, I never made 75, but on Elite 2, asking lower meant student rates with them. They know the TikTok bring out the content a bit more. Yeah, but it's also because my TikToks are good. No, like, whenever you make a TikTok, like for my clients, for example, Noob, there's a lot of talking. And you gotta have patience to, like, if you're, let me see. Like, if you're writing this stuff, like, if I'm matching his voice to the text, and a lot of people don't want to do that. They're lazy to do this, so that's why they don't do TikTok. This one has 300,000 views almost. Yay. Very, very nice. Yeah, because there's socializing involved at a certain point. Yeah, sure. Also, how you have to, but you should get 25 to 45 an hour easy. The higher profile the clients, the more you should charge. Yeah. I do my same prices for everyone though. I think that's why everyone that I work with they like me. It's because I'm fair. Like, not because you have more followers, I'm gonna charge more. Unless you're asking for like more videos, then yeah, I'll charge more if there's like more videos involved or something like that. Otherwise, it's not worth it for me. Ça se voit. La fièvre dans les yeux et ça se voit. J'ai trouvé dans la voix. Quand je pense à toi, I've got a fever. Can you check? Okay. Over and I let it go. Have fun. Have a good stream. Tell me what you want to do right now.
Whoops, sorry, didn't realize I was still muted. Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for coming by, appreciate it. And I think last time we left off with the devotion and the 3030 and the G7 and anvils, and I went ahead and filled in a couple gaps. So we'll get caught up on that. And let's see. So we went ahead and I guess I have more to explain. You're gonna notice that there's the blue stuff back. The blue stuff is from the projected headshot value. So before we mentioned and before we worked on using the same colors as guessing where we would want the body time to kill to go. And so now we're doing the same thing, but with headshots. So I'm kind of plotting out where I would like to approximately see the headshots, and eventually we'll do body shots, where I'd like to see that lie. to help bring dynamic and a bit more fairness to the meta. So as you can see with the R9 and the Alternator and the Prowler, we went ahead and have them all have basically identical headshot time to kills, so that there isn't any one particular favorite. So that there's you can get beaten in multiple ways, and so the way that especially because the Prowler and the Alternator are going to have uh, higher magazine capacities than the R9, then you're going to see the R9's limb damage right around here, and you're going to see the Alternator's limb damage right around there, and the Prowler's limb damage right around there. Kind of that same gap between them, so that there's the same potential across all the guns, but the R9 is still the fastest to the body. It's still tied to the fastest with the head, and it is essentially going to be the fastest gun to the limbs as well. So it's overall the best grouping. Like if you're hitting the person, you're going to be fine, but then what's going to hold it back is, of course, the magazine capacity, maybe even the reload time a little bit. And of course the rate of fire, meaning that the more you miss, the longer you miss, the more rounds you're dumping from your mag, reducing your potential to one clip, versus the other guns can have a chance of one clipping while missing for longer periods of time because the rates of fire are lower. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. So that's what you should expect to see with the limb TTKs, at least on those three, which is why they all have the same headshot. It's also to help make sure that the care package gun, meaning the Alternator, is not inherently more or less overpowered. Just because it's in the care package doesn't mean I want it to have this undistinguishable, unbeatable advantage over other guns. The exception is going to have to be the Kraber because of its one-shot headshot potential. Additionally, we also have the I forgot while I was balancing this that the 30-30 is actually a care package gun. So I did forget about that, which may lead to with how the headshot damage had to work out, that is kind of perfect for it being a care package level gun. The G7 I might need to bring a bit more back into the fold, but I wanted headshots to potentially reduce your time to kill more than standard, and that was something that may not have been possible if I went with a lower headshot time to kill. Also, just as a note, these headshot time to kills are assuming nothing but headshots, just as a point of reference. Just to get that out of the way early in the episode, that way no one freaks out when we get into that later. And that's going to be worth repeating. Our headshot time to kills assume 100% accuracy to the head, so that we know how OP the gun can possibly be. If we were to balance to not 100% to the head, and we wanted to say 80% accuracy, 95% accuracy, there's still that wiggle room of that 5% causing moments where players feel like the gun is just completely broken, and we want to avoid that as much as possible. However, because we're quickening the time to kill, reducing rather the time to kill, they're gonna feel that anyway. So it's almost impossible to avoid that, because these TTK changes are going to completely change how we play Apex Legends. It won't ruin the feel, but when it comes to strategically what was or wasn't a good idea, or what could or couldn't be saved from that mistake, that is going to be reduced significantly. There's going to be far less mistakes that you can get away from, So essentially ranked is going to feel even more sweaty because of a reduced time to kill. But pubs is going to feel a lot better because the chance of third parties is going to go down, and the ability to survive a third party is going to go up, because you have that potential. Or if you are just better, you will shine through faster. You're going to have less instances of those one-shot enemies just barely getting through the door, because the damages are going to be higher. So they won't even make it to the door, let alone get to close it and try to start popping a shield battery. So those instances are going to get completely removed. While there's also means on the other end of that is, if you are the person that just got beamed and try to make it to a door, you're probably not going to make it. So it's that double-edged coin where if you're the one winning the fight, you're definitely going to win faster. But if you're the one losing the fight, then expect a skill reset, because this is not going to be an easy adjustment for unprepared players. Let's say the more adapt, the more the players that are already well suited to the game, the players that are already good at the game, they may find themselves doing much better after this, and the below average players may find themselves doing much worse after this, which is unfortunate, but it is something that you will get used to. It's no different than when you had to learn the game from the start. It's just that if you had to learn my game from the start, these changes wouldn't have taken 9 seasons to make. If I was being frank, of course I'm over analytical gaming, but if I was Frank, then Frank would have changed Apex a long time ago. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that you have to learn this so late if these changes do get put through, but this would have happened by season 3 for me, so you would have already have been used to it by then, and it would have been a bit more refined. Versus 2 years into the game, I would have done this very quickly. And if I was a game tester before launch, I would have recommended that the game didn't launch this way. So, yeah. Anyway, I could tell from my first week in Apex that the game was not going to do what I wanted it to. And if I had the time and motivation to do this, I would have. But, thanks to the pandemic, I do. But I didn't have the time then. So... anyway, hopping into it. To continue, we went ahead and plotted out headshots for the ARs as well. We still need to do the double tap, but that's going to be finicky, so that's going to have to happen on our own. The 30-30 I already did, so we went ahead and plotted that guy there. This time to kill down here at 1.07. This is the time that it would take to shoot one shot less. So if you were to get the time to kill one shot faster, that's what the time to kill would be. And so because the longer range guns are easier to predict and they're easier to manage, I went ahead and did that all on my own, because it's something where at most I know it needs to be a 1 to 2 shot reduction, so it's super easy to predict. The G7, I believe, is a 2-shot reduction, not a 1-shot reduction. So if you were to do 4 shots instead of 6 shots, it would be 1.13. If you were to do 3 shots instead of 4 shots with the 30-30, it'd be 1.07. If you were to do 2 shots instead of 3 shots with a triple take, it'd be 1.06. And if you were to do 2 shots instead of 3 shots with the longbow, it'd be 1.14. And then the Sentinel would be 2 shots instead of 3 shots was 1.25. And the Sentinel with anvils was 1 shot instead of 2 shots. But the Sentinel with anvils is a 2-shot everywhere, all the time, even to the head, unless they have level 2 helmet or less, or they have combined with blue armor and less. So if they're nothing but blue and down, then it's a 1-shot headshot. But if they're half blue, half not, then they're fine. So if they get like purple in level 1, or they get level 2 in level or if they get purple in level 2, or if they get, like that, the whole combo. So anything better than that. I think level 3 helmet protects them. Basically, if they can be level 3 helmet and blue, and that still covers it. So if any part of their body is purple, besides a white body shield, then they survive. So if they have a blue bod or better, and they have purple helmet or better, then they're safe. But you could have a white helmet and purple bod. That would still work. Anyway. But so that's basically the benefit of this. The anvils kill in 2.45, so it's basically kind of a roulette with the anvils. It's either you're gonna get the 1-shot headshot, which is not going to be mostly early game, or you're gonna have a much longer time to kill than the regular Sentinel. And then if you didn't have anvils equipped, and then you also wouldn't be using 2 ammo per shot, and so on and so forth. So realistically, what you'd probably see more often is someone trying to body someone with the sentinel, and then switching it to anvils and getting the lower rate of fire, and then trying to get them in the head, because that should be a little bit faster, but it's not going to be much faster because the animation to switch to anvils takes a little bit, and then you have to un-ADS too. And so just the fact that you have to un-ADS is actually enough to ruin the TTK. So it's not like it's going to be this broken tactic of like hitting someone without anvils and then hitting someone with anvils, because that would be slower than if you just shot them twice with anvils. The only way that it's faster is if you like miss shots before hitting them. Like it would be faster if your opening shot took you multiple tries. Then it would be faster, because if you just only opened with sentinels, you have a lower rate of fire, so every missed shot costs more time than if you don't open with anvils. But if you were to consider 2 shots back to back with perfect accuracy, it would be slower. The benefit would be if you miss your opening shot. That's the only benefit. And that's not necessarily enough benefit to throw away not going for the headshot just in case. So realistically, it's not faster by any means, practically or mathematically. So, and that's because the TTK between the two is so small. It's only 400 milliseconds. The gun takes 450 milliseconds just to ADS, if not 600 milliseconds. I think I might have given it the same ADS as the Kraber. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I did. So, the fact that you would have to, unscope to make it go to well, I guess you don't have to unscope to make it go to anvils, do you? That's a good point. Anyway, if you were at any point stop aiming down sights, then have to re-aim down sight, then you've already ruined your time to kill. So, you basically have to be hard scoped to do it that fast for either gun. And this, in most situations, is a 3-shot kill, I want to say. Endgame is a 3-shot kill. This would be a 2-shot kill. So we'll probably have it be a 2-shot headshot, because that kind of needs, the sentinel kind of needs it. I was considering not letting these be 2-shot headshots as well. By the way, that was at least by endgame, I was considering them not being 2-shot headshots, and making them be that long in the endgame to keep it a bit more fair, because these guys are going to be more adept for close range than the sentinel would. So letting the sentinel with a slower rate of fire be 2-shot headshot would be okay, and then just the margin of error is going to be much higher versus something with a higher ROF than like the triple take and longbow. The timing for missed shots would be less punishing, because you can do the follow-up shot faster. So because other players won't be 100% accurate with their guns, it's easier to be accurate with that gun, kind of thing. So to make it more balanced and more realistic online with how quick the other guns will probably kill versus how quick they can kill, that would be a reason, especially by the end game, to make it be a 3-shot headshot. So the goal is to have it be a 3-shot headshot against level 2 helmets, and then still be level 3-shot headshot against level 3 helmet. So that upgrading from 2 to 3 isn't what saves you, because that won't be as dependable. But if you were to upgrade early, then it would save you from getting 2-shot headshot in the early game. So that would be the benefit and the trade-off. That's the goal of that. Let's see. I think that's probably it. Oh, the devotion. That was one. So I went off of my season 7 recorded footage, because I didn't feel like going into the game and recording more footage. So I just went off of what I captured in season 7. It's mostly unchanged since then. When you are using the devotion, do I have that piece saved? I feel like I do. I do have it saved. When you're using the devotion without a turbocharger, the wind-up time before you reach max rate of fire is 1.5 seconds. I don't remember how many shots it took you to get to there. I don't think I wrote it down because with the turbo and without the turbo, it's going to be a different number of rounds. So anyway, it takes 1.5 seconds to get wound up to the max rate of fire. And the max rate of fire is when everyone goes, the devotion's overpowered. So if you're wondering what max rate of fire is with a devotion, if at any point in time you got killed and went, damn, that was fast, that is the max rate of fire with the devotion. So if they didn't have a turbo, that took 1.5 seconds to get to. If they did have a turbo, that takes 767 milliseconds to get to. And in that 767 milliseconds, although I think also 23 frames is the same amount of time as that. So 23 frames, 30 FPS, that's how long it takes. And then in that time, you shoot 8 rounds. And then after those 8 rounds, you're at max rate of fire. So basically, if you count to 8 while you're firing the devotion, then that's how long it takes you to get to max rate of fire. And then you can get to the what people would call the OP devotion kill time. So I went ahead and did that. I went ahead and modified that. So this devotion in my build, basically you could say has turbocharger built in, but I reduce it slightly from 767 milliseconds by adding one more frame at 30 and making it just an even 800 milliseconds. And so there's 800 milliseconds for 8 shots, same number, and then 15 shots per second after that. And so the time to kill with that in mind is 1.58 seconds. That way the devotion keeps the current wind-up time. It just gets a little bit slower, which is super easy to do. It's not even that big a deal. It's just adding one frame, so it's not like you have to rework the whole curve a whole lot. You just kind of plop in. Hopefully you don't have to rework the whole curve a whole lot. It should be a very minor adjustment. But hopefully the intention is for it to be a minor adjustment from 676 to 800 milliseconds. And that little change in the milliseconds was important. So I would be okay with it going a bit slower than that, but if I went too much slower than that, I'd need to make it 7 shots instead of 8. That way the time to kill wouldn't be too impacted. Because if I just straight up add more time to that windup, then it's less shots. Like it's 8 shots in the windup and then like 5 shots at full. So to keep, I think I can show you actually. I did that already. Anyway, this was the devotion pre-fire. If you get to max rate of fire and you shoot for 800 milliseconds before you start damaging that person, then that would be the time to kill at 1.25. But if you don't spend the 800 milliseconds, then this is the time to kill. And I know you might be wondering why it's not an 800 millisecond difference. Well, that's because you're doing damage during the 800. It's not a straight pause. So the time to get to the full windup is 800 milliseconds, but your DPS during that isn't 0. So because it isn't 0, the effect on the time to kill is not 0, because you are doing damage during that, potentially, if you're hitting every shot, which is, again, we have to account for that. So the devotion will take 13 shots to kill. If you just in general, no matter what you do, it's 13 shots to kill to the chest if they're all chest shots. And then 6 of those shots are during the max rate of fire. So that's what that is. So if you want to know how I calculated this, it's super easy. Actually, you could do it yourself. I'll show you. Is that I took the number of shots to kill, and I subtracted. I do have it at 7 shots. I did reduce, so 800 milliseconds to 7 shots. So I took the shots to kill, and I subtracted 7 from it, because that's the 800 milliseconds. That's the set amount of time. I know every time that the 800 milliseconds would fire 7 shots. That's not changing. There's no attachment to change it. No nothing. So it's just always that constant. And so I took 13 minus 7 and put that down to 6. So that way I know that there's 6 shots at the max rate of fire, and then those 6 shots gave me a certain time to kill, and we're assuming that there's still only a single aim down sight and stuff like that. And so I went to the equation, and in here I went ahead and just left that equation alone for those that can't see. So it was the same equation of the aim down sight time multiplied by the expression, which, let me remind myself here real quick, sorry. Yes, so of the shots to kill, so shot to kill minus 1, which is an expression of its own. So there's that. So that's why there's 2 sets of parentheses here. I'm typing it in chat. The shots to kill minus 1 divided by the rate of fire. That's actually the whole time to kill. That's the whole time to kill. So that's how I'm calculating all these times, is the aim down sight times the shot to kill minus 1 divided by the rate of fire, and then that's being oh, sorry, not the ADS times. It's apologies. It's the ADS plus the previous expression, which I'm just gonna put as X. So if you were to say, well, this is gonna be easier. So I'll say that say B is equal to the shots to kill minus 1, and that C is equal to the C is equal to B divided by the rate of fire, and then the time to kill is equal to the aim down sight time plus C. That way you can work it out in different steps if that makes it easier for you, but otherwise it's the whole equation up there as the first one of ADS plus, not times, the thing. So if you'd rather work it out in different chunks and add those pieces together as you go, then those would be the pieces that you can put together on your own, or you can do that. So in other words, the TTK would be equal to oh, you know what? I didn't break it down into enough. You'd have to assign complete variables in order to. I'd have to assign a variable to shot to kill and rate of fire, versus just making them expressions. So, but that's too complicated to make it. It might make it read better, but realistically, it may not. So leaving it as expressions might be the best way. But that's kind of what to explain it as. So if I took my regular time to kill of the what all I would have to do basically from the ADS plus C, if we just keep going off of that, the ADS plus C, if I have any other factors in my time to kill, then those factors get added to here. So if there's an open bolt delay, then that's where the open bolt delay would go in the time to kill equation. But what I'm doing to simplify this, since I know the set amount of damage that will happen every single time, and that it will always be 7 shots during the 800 milliseconds, those are the first 7 shots. So they're predictable. They're a variable that I can account for, just like my open bolt delay. So all that I did was replace the open bolt delay with the wind up damage. So that's what I did. So I converted the open bolt delay into that, which just means that now I treat the devotion the same way I treated the havoc with the same equation. So with the havoc, we added an open bolt delay of 300 milliseconds. 300 milliseconds, yeah. So that's what we used there. So in this, by reducing the shots to kill down to 6, I can now treat the 800 milliseconds as an open bolt delay. So for the thing, if I just did my my ADS plus C, it would also just be plus 0.8. And if I do that to every single health pool, then that's now my time to kill with the devotion if I'm not pre-firing. So I was able to simplify that concept down mathematically without changing conceptually what happened. So that's yeah, that's what that was. Okay. And we gave the triple take a choke of 300 milliseconds as well. So the same amount of time that it would take for the havoc to start shooting is the same amount of time that it would take the triple take to go all the way to 1 bullet again. And technically, by the way, the triple take never went to 1 bullet. It still stayed 3 separate bullets, so they still did damage differently. So if you could still be wrong by a little bit, and they would still spread at extreme ranges, even though you use the choke. It doesn't make it one shot. It just makes the 3 shots much tighter together and have a slower spread value than they would otherwise. So, but eventually they do still spread. So that's the thing, just in case you didn't know. Which is a reason to pick the longbow over the triple take. Additionally, you're going to notice that the longbow has a damage of 74. That gives it an unfortunate position as a 2-shot body shot in the beginning of the game, which does give it a fairly competitive time to kill of 1.14 early game. However, it was either that or keep the damage at 55 and drastically increase the rate of fire. Drastically. I can show you that if the damage was at 55, it would still be a 4-shot to kill still, and a 4-shot to kill. Again, with a target of 1.83, that's our target. Our rate of fire would have to go from 1.45 to like 2 point something, about 2.2. So instead of the longbow shooting 1.5 rounds a second, it'd be shooting 2 rounds a second. And you would immediately feel like the longbow is like the same as the G7. So it just wasn't realistic. So I have to keep it at 1.45 and make it a 3-shot time to kill. A 3-shot kill, which because of the damages and the damage drop off of the armor, unfortunately makes it a 2-shot body shot to the non-fortified legends. Which is kind of something I can't prevent without making the sniper worse across the board. And I would rather concede this way than the other way, basically. It's my preference to let this gun be strong early game, because it is a sniper. So and that being said, even with a 1.14 time to kill, that early in the game, it is still very easily outgunned by the lower guns. And this will not be a 1-shot headshot, by the way. It's not going to have a 2x headshot multiplier. None of the snipers are going to have a 2x headshot multiplier. So the Sentinel without them, without anvils, won't have a 1-shot headshot potential or anything like that. So, but moving on. What is there to move on to? I believe we did the Sentinel with anvils. We did that. So we put that to 115 damage to the body. That was a rough one to mull over. I didn't really love that. And then the rate of fire is reduced by more than 57%. It's actually going to be pretty similar, but 0.5 divided by 1.25. 40%. 40% reduction. Yeah, that sounds right. So it's a 40% reduction to rate of fire. And it's not 1.4 times body damage. It's 1.35. Okay. So a bit different than what I had before. What would 1.4 of 85 be? 119. Yeah, that's rough. 119. Well, I mean, that's not much different than the 115, honestly. And that would still be the same time to kill. It wouldn't ruin the... Yeah. And that's a better number, too. That would even goes to 101, which makes it a 2-shot kill for sure. Versus what was it before? 98. Yeah, it makes Fortified Legends a 2-shot kill to the body as well. I don't know if I want that though, because I did want at the very least with level 3 to protect Fortified Legends a bit more, to give you a reason to pick them, because they're not exactly the most mobile or agile. So I did want to give them an advantage, especially at range. Not that for most players, by the time they get red, they're not at range, but there's still the opportunity there for that to happen. So given that they're the only kind of legend, it may also encourage team play. Like giving the gold backpack to Lifeline, it'd be the same as giving the red shield to Gibraltar, because he could save your team easier, because he can become a 3-shot kill to the body. So there's that. And it also helps because they're so big. It would be nice to have it be lower, so that even at purple they were a 3-shot kill. But I don't think I can get away with that without it being like way too low. Yeah, no, it would have to be way too low. This would have to go down to 89, and that would make the fortified is too much of a reduction there. If I wanted to calculate what that would be, it would be 0.89. No, not even 0.89. It'd just be 89 times, or divided by 0.85 actually, which would mean 104 or 105 as base damage, and that is enough. That is enough to keep a 2-shot kill the entire time, and then that would go down to 89, 106, and that's 90. Yeah, so that could make it go to 105. But that's not enough of a multiplier. And if I left it at, if I go too far down, I think I had 82 at one point, which made that 70, which would be a straight 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3. That leaves that unchanged, but then it's just too close to the longbow. But 105 and 82, that's 1.28, yeah. That would be 105. Okay. So that could work. 1.28 times the body multiplier. Rate of fire reduced by 40%. Still a 2-shot time to kill. 3-shot here. Sometimes a 2-shot, but definitely forcing a 3-shot. That could be better. But then the longbow's too high, but then it's too close to the triple take, and I don't want to reduce the triple take, but that's kind of right in the middle there. Is what is that? That's 5 away from this, and it's just about 5 away from that. I could put that up to 75. That could go to 64. And that wouldn't change anything. Okay. And the rate of fires are so similar that most people probably wouldn't even care. Because it's 1.45 versus 1.25. Those are super similar rate of fires. Super similar. And to further differentiate the two, I was going to keep the longbow as a marksman. Or rather, I was going to turn the longbow into a marksman. Turn the triple take into a marksman. And have the sentinel and the charge rifle be the only 2 guns that can take the digital threat scope. The 4 to 8 digi that I had changed from the 4 to 10. And then remove the 4 to 8. So I was going to have the longbow and the thing, because there's no more ground spawn 4 to 8 scope. So ground spawn only goes as high to 6. So all the marksmen and snipers could still take all of the ground loot sniper scopes, but the gold ones that are typically in care packages and stuff like that, those would only go on the sentinel or the charge rifle, as a way to make up for their long time to kills, and also kind of bringing in the potential for the longbow and triple take at closer ranges, because to have a 4x digi threat is pretty good. So I let them get scopes a bit faster, but they also are limited in that manner. So there's still going to be that, where if you find the scope, especially with such a similarity between the longbow and the sentinel, and the potential for the sentinel with anvils, that I would say most people would ditch the longbow for the sentinel, which in general is going to be healthy for the game, because missed shots with the sentinel, especially on anvil, are going to cost you more time. So the sniping, at least against those enemies, may not feel too different. You're going to get hit harder for sure, but because if you looked at the sentinel right now, it's at 70, and if you looked at the sentinel with anvils right now, it's 88. So you're going to get, broken now in one shot with the sentinel with anvils. And 80 is going to be enough to break you as well. If you don't have a red shield, my purple shields only go up to 80. So 82 is going to be enough to break you in one shot. So you're going to have to you know, have more meds, and you know, snipers are going to be more effective for that manner. You're gonna, I mean, not that you wouldn't pop a shield bat if you got hit for 70 anyway, but there wasn't like the, oh, I'll slow heal this kind of thing. Like, it's going to take longer to slow heal that, so it's going to force batteries more often because of the potential for the push. So it's going to make you know, healing management more important, which is going to make support legends more important. So you know, all these little things of the snipers being stronger, what you need to remember is it's going to encourage support gameplay. It's going to encourage defensive legends gameplay, which, you know, may not necessarily mean just Gibraltar. You know, although he will definitely be a wise choice with the sniper meta. You know, Lifeline is going to get her res shield back, so she won't be completely useless against long range fights. And again, that's not, you know, I'm assuming that you've all watched those legend changes, so I shouldn't go in too much into that, because I'm assuming that you've watched the episodes on that. Otherwise this would take forever to get through, like it already is. So anyway, there's that. But now we need to do double tap on the G7, which has its own requirements for time to kill. The time to kill for G7 with double tap. Where did I write that down? I don't think I did. But it's supposed to compete with assault rifles to keep the G7 competitive. But remember, this is on sniper ammo, so it is going to be a worse option with a not great time to kill. So it's not going to make up for the other disadvantages. And you need to remember that it is on sniper ammo with a very high rate of fire, which means that it's going to blow through ammo stacks just as fast as it does now, but with significantly less ammo. So although you could do this with the G7 and it will be effective and it will be good, you're probably not going to want to. You probably won't want to. It's going to feel limited for sure, but it's also still going to feel effective. So it's going to be that kind of skill gap with this particular thing, because we're going to be doing double the damage, but double tap is actually going to be increasing the rate of fire. So it's going to be a very weird scenario. And then we need to start compensating for the burst delay and the time to kill as well, which this one won't have. Oh yeah, it will. Yeah, it will. Because what we have to remember that when we're doing double tap and doing it like this, anyway, we're gonna have to get into the math on this, because the math on this is a bit more difficult. So the rate of fire is still 4.4, by the way, because we're doing 4.4 second bursts, but we're also adding in a delay. So we have it at 5 shots per second every 472 shots at 5 shots per second every 470 milliseconds. Oh, so that's how we did it before. We did 2 shots at 5 every 470. I don't know what that rate of fire equated to. So we're doing about 2 shots every half second, which is super close to a 4. That's super close to a 4, but I don't know what, God. This is the part that I should have saved my equation from before, because I don't remember what the fuck I was doing. I think it's going to be on the head TDK. It should be on the head time to kill, so I can go copy what I did before and try to understand from there. I'm a little tired to think of it all over again. What the fuck? Okay, that's obviously nowhere near correct. What are you talking about? That's the... Does it even say... Why is it divided by H1? No. Plus, yeah, but that's not right. It's double tap. That's obviously not the same time to kill. And it wouldn't be the same rate of fire. It definitely shouldn't be, because if that was the same rate of fire, then this would be the same time to kill. Yeah, I have it equal to this. So what the fuck are you talking about? There we go. That's the weird shit that I'm talking about. That looks like I did something. That looks correct. That looks like that can be correct too. Why am I subtracting 0.2? Plus that minus 0.2. Why would I be minusing 0.2? What the fuck did you do? Why? That's not correct. That's not correct. I went through the spreadsheet several times to make sure that all these equations were correct. And I don't know what happened, but none of them are. This must be that thing that kept popping up in the the dialogue box that kept coming up every time I was doing shit about how I had equations that were fucked up, because I know I didn't fuck them up like that. Something happened that fucked them up, but they obviously weren't written perfect either. What do I got here? That's the regular one. That should be fine. This is obviously not the regular one. Oh, come on. God, what did I do? Oh, God, I don't have the brain power to figure that out again. At least not right now. I might skip it and come back to it tomorrow when I've actually like had some sleep. But essentially, there's the no, that's never mind. That's kind of easy. So if I wanted to increase the rate of fire, then it would go up to 5 like that. And this is not as bad as I thought it was, sorry. This would be the ADS time, which is still 0.45. I don't know why that's not going anywhere. Yeah, that's still 0.45. Oh, hey, Ethereum. Hey, buddy. It's alright that you can't stay, no worries. I did the same thing, hopped by another guy's stream and said hi, then had to go real quick. Man. So this is we're gonna add the aim down sight time at the end. Yeah, I'm gonna add the ADS time at the end just to make this easier. But we're still have to add the ADS time. So this is still it's still kind of the shot to kill -1. It's actually gonna be 2 -1 because that's what we have to do. So it's 2 -1 divided by the rate of fire. And then what this 2 actually is that's the number of bursts that have to happen, because it's still a 4-shot kill. It didn't suddenly become a 2-shot kill. So it takes 2 2-round bursts to kill. And so below, next to it, where it goes 2.33, that means that it takes 4 shots plus a 5th shot, which is half of 1 burst. And because the rate of fire difference between the basically 2 -1 divided by 5 is 200 milliseconds. So the difference between a 5-shot and 6-shot kill is only 200 milliseconds, and that's so little that we can basically ignore that. But we probably won't. That's what the minus 0.2 was, actually. That's exactly what that was, because it was it was compensating for not needing the 6th shot, which is the difference on the burst. So basically what we can just turn this into, this whole statement can now just become 0.2, because it's 0.2 is now our new time between the 2 bursts, and then between every burst now has 470 milliseconds. So it would be 0.2 per burst plus 0.47 per burst, basically, is kind of what that comes down to as well, because this would actually be the 0.2 per burst times the number of bursts, which is right here. No, I'm not done with it. I did the wrong thing. That's why. Okay, so we're just going to rewrite the whole thing. So we've got 0.2 times, not x, times the number of bursts. That is now part of our time to kill. And then that is being added to the combination of 0.47 times the number of bursts minus 1. And that's going to sound weird, but that's kind of what's going on here. Because now we have, since it takes 2 bursts, there's only 1 burst delay within that. So we're compensating for the maybe I can explain this better in Paint. So now that before, just as a thing, we were going off of the number of shots to kill, right? So when we were calculating the shots to kill, this was the time that it took for those shots to fire out of the gun, because this is where you pulled the trigger, and then this is when the target died. So there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different spaces of time for 6 shots. So that's why we subtract 1 from the shots to kill, and then anything before this would be something like aim down sight time, and then there would be like open bolt delays, which is what we've been treating the Havoc and Devotion as having. But now what we're dealing with is an extra variable of bursts. So it's going to take, depending on the shots to kill, that we have 2 different variables. We have the first variable of the time between shots, and we have the second variable of the time between bursts. And this is all getting put in as the start of you pulling the trigger, the aim down sight time of the G7. And so we have to calculate for this, which is 0.2 or 200 milliseconds. So that's 0.2 right here, the time between this shot and this shot. And then this here is 0.47, which is the time between delays. So we have, on 3 bursts, we have 2 delays, but on 3 bursts, we have 1, 2, 3 0.2s. So we can't calculate them as the same thing, because this is still going to happen in every burst, even though there's not a burst delay every burst. And then depending on if it's a 5-shot kill or a 6-shot kill, then this 0.2 doesn't have to happen. So that 0.2 has to get subtracted. And so this is one of the reasons why the Hemlock is now basically full auto, because this shit's really fucking annoying. So, but double tap is a good hop up and a good idea. So I'm putting in the effort, but the Hemlock doesn't need this to be good or to be unique. So I got rid of it. But the G7 does to be unique and to do this. It needs this double tap hop up, which is why we're putting up with it. But otherwise, this is annoying as shit, and I hate doing it. Because it doesn't need to happen on a lot of burst guns, but they just make it anyway, and it's kind of a pain to work out mathematically. So if we keep that in mind, that we need that to happen, I'm gonna keep that graphic there actually for me while I do this. Let me do this. I'm gonna keep that there. That way I can look at it while I'm doing my equation. It's actually gonna help me. So this is what we have going on here then. So they're both referencing the number of shots to kill. So we have 0.2 times the number of bursts to kill, because every burst that it takes to kill. So this would take 3 bursts, which would be 1, 2, 3. This takes 2 bursts, which would be 1, 2. That has that number of 0.2s, but it has only that number of bursts minus 1 in delays. So this is the delay that we're being accounted for. This is the number of shots that's going to take that we're accounting for. And then we have to add on the ADS time of 0.45. And so that makes it a time to kill of 1.32, because we have to aim down sight for 450 milliseconds. We have one 470 millisecond burst delay. So 0.45 plus 0.47 as the burst delay, plus we have 0.2 plus 0.2, because we've got 2 different bursts in there, so 1.32. So 1.32. So when we add it up as compartments as what we know the time should be, we get the same answer, which is how we know the equation works, because we know for a fact that as a 4-shot kill, it'd be right here. This would be 4 shots. So we would have, as a 4-shot kill, we would have 2 bursts, 1, 2. We would have 1 burst delay, and then we'd have our aim down sight time, which we added up individually as the 0.45, the 0.47, and then essentially the 0.4 because of the 2.2s. So that's all together is going to make 1.32, and that's what our equation got. So now we know the equation works, and then that equation can get modified into anything else that we need. Yeah. Except what you might have noticed is that this is actually the wrong thing there. So this needs to get put to K. Actually, no, before I do that, this is the correct equation for the cell next to it. So I'm going to copy and paste this into here because that's the correct equation for that cell. Of course, I didn't put an equal sign, so that's not going to work. But this is the incorrect equation because I'm not referencing the correct cell. This needs to go to K, and that needs to go to K. And then it's actually still not correct because the number of shots is 5, not 3. So there's still 2 burst delays, but there's not 3.2s. So this particular equation needs to be changed to just basically subtract 0.2, and then that's why we're getting the +4.5 and the -0.2. And then this is going to be the same. So this is actually going to be the same equation. Well, not quite the same equation. It's not quite the same because we have some differences along the way. We're going to copy this and we're going to paste here. But this is actually a 6-shot kill. So the 0.2 is going to go away. And the K is wrong. This needs to go to O. This needs to go to O. This needs to go to O. And then this can all go away. And that should be the correct time to kill, which is the same value that we saw over here at 1.79, but with the extra 0.2, so 1.99, that's perfect. This is going to have the -2 0.2 because of the thing, the 5-shot kill instead of the 6-shot kill. So that's how we're going to do that. And now both of these don't have to worry about the -2. We can delete that. This can now go to S. Yes. And then this can do the same thing. Minus the 0.2s. And this is going to go to the next letter in the alphabet, which is T. That's going to go to T. And then this is going to need the -0.2. So that's going to stay in -0.2, but this is going to go to W instead of K. And then this is going to remove the 0.2 and going to go to, I believe it would be X. It is X. There we go. And that would be the double tap time to kill based off of how many bursts that it would take. And so this would be 5 shots per second every 470 milliseconds. Now, what you're going to want to remember is that we actually had double tap be a buff to the G7 to actually decrease the time to kill versus increase the time to kill. So what that means is that the 470 millisecond burst delay is too long. And so that is what's going to have to get adjusted, and then we can just copy and paste that number along the way. And so 400 milliseconds is even going to be too long. So we're going to change that. 1.53 is getting close. So this is actually going to be, or rather, what would also help is if we increase the rate of fire of the burst itself, which is going to change that 0.2 value that we have as well. So we could leave a 300 milliseconds in between, but then this would need to drastically change our rate of fire. In fact, we would probably need to double it as well. So if we put that up to a 10, that actually isn't going to affect any of these equations because we didn't calculate these equations to go off of the rate of fire because this 0.2 isn't in that equation. So this would actually need to be its own set of parentheses and this would have to be the rate of fire. Or rather, it would be that, but it would be 1 divided by the rate of fire is actually how we got that value there. And so that is how we would equate that. And then this would actually be the same thing. This would be minus the value of 1 divided by the rate of fire. And that would be how we can adjust this based off of what the rate of fire of the gun is, if we wanted to write the equation that way, which is how we should have done it, but I didn't think we'd have to change the rate of fire of the gun to make it fire 2 in 100 milliseconds on top of a reduced burst delay. So I wasn't expecting that, but that's what we're going to have to do. So we're going to have to take this equation and basically just redo what we just did, because it's going to be easier than doing the other way around. And so this is going to be a 5 shot here. Actually, that's not how I should do this. I should do it this way, because this should just get replaced like that, and then this just gets deleted there, and then we'll go ahead and reduce this to 0.3 while we're doing it, and then this is going to get changed from K to L, just like it was before. And that'll do it. And then we'll go ahead and change this to 0.3 there. And go ahead and copy this guy again. And because here we do need that, so why does Command A never works in this mode? And it's super annoying when you're doing that, because I need Command A. Command A is going to make this go so much faster. And then you need to go here and go there. You need to get deleted. And then this needs to go from K to O. And that's already reducing a fair amount of our time to kill here. Oh. Hold on. Whoops. No, that doesn't need to change. This still needs to stay at G. And then this needs to go to O. Did I do that wrong on this one? No, I actually didn't. That's funny. Okay, I don't know why I did it wrong on this one and not the other one. Did I do it wrong here? I must have done it wrong here. Yeah, I did it wrong here. No, I didn't. What did I do wrong? This is definitely wrong. What did I do? Because it should not be 0.95. Should, oh, no, it should be. I didn't do anything wrong. And why is this 0.43? That should not be so high. It should be 1.59. What did I do? Let's try this again. Okay, so that gets deleted. That stays at 0.45. The K here gets moved to an O. And that stays at G. 1.35. Why? Oh, wait. No. Yeah. Yeah, there's that. So why is this 1.59? Oh, because this equation is being multiplied by 0.47. That's why. Okay, that was freaking me out. I couldn't figure out why I was wrong. I was like, I'm not doing the equation wrong, am I? And no, I wasn't. I just was being super dumb about it. This one needs the -1. So I can do this one first. And then this goes from K to W. What we're doing. K to W. Oh, you know what? While I'm doing this, and this needs to go from plus that to plus this. That's what would make this perfect. That way I actually can change the numbers the way that I'm supposed to be able to change numbers and not be lazy as shit and fuck it all up the way that I keep fucking it up. Because I've been doing it the lazy as shit way, not the actual smart way. And so this is the not lazy as shit way, is to do that and then make this X and then make that X, and then those numbers are actually correct. And so instead of doing plus 0.45, it becomes J175. Again, that's 0.3. Why is that getting reset like that? I don't... Am I not? Is that not the right equation? That's not the right equation. Yeah, that's god damn it. What is the point of writing these equations if I'm going to keep fucking it up? God damn it. That's dumb. Okay, so that's the right equation. This is the wrong thing. So J175. This is not J175, so let's make that J175. And then this is the correct equation of the rate of fire difference times the burst delay. That's correct. That is the correct equation. This doesn't... Oh, god damn it. Oh, forward. Thank you. That does not say J175, so J175. And that is the correct difference. That's the correct difference. This does not say J175. J175. Then this is not the correct equation. But it does say J175, so that's nice, but it's not the correct equation. So we're going to take this equation, copy U, go here, paste, correct equation, plus J175. It's a 6-shot kill, so we're not doing any of that. Parentheses doesn't have to stay. There we go. And this is not the correct equation either, but this is also a 6-shot kill, so I can just take this. Oh, no, hold on. That's not, that needs to go to S. It ended up being the right thing, but that's not the right. There we go. There we go. And yes, that is correct. This goes to T plus J. Okay. That is correct, and that is correct. Okay. That took more work than I thought it would. Anyway, so in an effort to reduce this rate of fire without... Oh, that's actually... Oh, that's not even the correct time to kill. Holy shit. Yeah, speeding up the time to kill is not going to work. It's going to make this... all I'm going to be doing is essentially using double tap to increase the rate of fire. This was a bad idea. It's the right equation, but it's the wrong idea. It's easier to make the time to kill slower than it is faster. This is going to be like what's going to, especially perceived as one of the most OP hop-ups in the game, because it's going to make the time to kill faster. So I need to switch my time to kills with the G7, which is going to mean tweaking the ranges to make that time to kill of 1.59 double tap time to kill, and then the actual time to kill around the 1.3. But that's going to become super close to all of the actual ARs, especially the Hemlock. It's going to be the same time to kill as the Hemlock, but this is on sniper ammo, and this isn't. And this has better muzzle velocity than this, and this can take better scopes than this. So you can kind of see where the whole point of the gun disappears. So, because I like where the G7's at. I don't want to rebalance it to AR times. I want it to be a longer time to kill. I want it to be more comparable to the 30-30. If it can take 6Xs and be faster killing, or as fast as all the ARs, then it's going to be a pretty damn clear choice. And I don't want that. I want there to be give and take. So it could mean giving double tap to something else. That's what this could realistically turn into, is to giving double tap to something else, because I don't want it on the G7 if it means doing that. The G7's exactly where I want it. Sure. What I could give it to is the longbow, but no one would like that. no one would like that at all. That has a longer time to kill. I could very easily put it on the longbow, but people would kill me. Double tap longbow, people would go, this is broken as shit. Fuck your changes. There's no way. There's no way. So the other question is that if I am going to give it to the Havoc, which I could not give it to just as easily, then do I just take double tap out of the game like they already did and not give it to the EVA 8 and just have it take only an optic, which is totally fine? And do I not give it to the G7? Do I not give it to the Havoc? Or do I give it to the EVA 8 and the Havoc? Because the EVA, I could slow down the time to kill, and that would be fine. The Havoc, I just have it removing the burst delay and keeping everything the same. So that is in itself a buff that I don't have to worry about what I would do with the EVA 8 and what I am trying to do with the G7. So I could very easily make it the same time to kill and just make it preference. That would be fine as well. I could make it basically identical in time to kill and just literally have it be a preference. Or at least I could speed it up a little bit to make those follow-up shots easier. So that could be a thing. And it could, realistically, if the rate of fire of the burst is fast enough, it would still be a pretty damn good buff to the G7 and still be something worth the slow. So I could just, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. The double tap is gonna make it easier to hit headshots too. So I don't know if I want to go as far as shooting them twice as fast, but a rate of fire of 6 would be very, very noticeable. To shoot them that much faster with less effort, that'd be plenty. And then this guy here, that's actually the same. That's a slight buff, 1.55 instead of 1 point. Okay. Well, fuck. That's fine. That's like actually fine. This is somehow faster. I don't know why that would be faster. If this is slower, that doesn't make any sense. Don't. Okay, whatever. But that's close enough. It's within the realm of 1.55 to 1.59, so it's almost identical. This is almost identical as well. It doesn't look like it, but it is. So that'll do. It's not 5 shots per second. This would be 2 shots at 6 shots per second every 300 milliseconds. That would be what this would be more. That's what this is. Okay, and that would still be seen as a net buff to the thing. How did I do it before? Yeah, I did have it speed up, but I must have had the rate of fire lower because double tap was improving, but I don't know what I did. That's also a very small improvement. Very small improvement. So that's probably why it was so easy, because I didn't have it this huge buff. You know, the reason why this didn't work is because look how big of a buff that is. You know, that's over a quarter of a second. 300 milliseconds? Close to, yeah. Close to 300 milliseconds. Actually, no, that would be exactly 300 milliseconds. So yeah, that's because this is 200. This should be 250 right here. 50, 100, 250, 300 milliseconds. That's too big of a gap for double tap to bridge without it being completely unrealistic. So that would explain that. And then this can just get deleted. And then this would be inserts. Nope. Inserts. And this would go here. And it would just be G7 double tap. That would go there. Go here, 1.55, and we're good. that would be double tap. That's still going to be a buff, but it's going to be more preference than anything. Not enough to really, say it's faster per se. For the most part, it's the same time to kill. And even if you miss, like, it is technically faster. Basically, what the nice thing will be is that you won't die because you had it in double tap. That was my biggest pet peeve about double tap back in the day, is that it was so much slower overall that by having it in double tap when you meant to have it in single was enough to get you killed, and I couldn't stand that because I knew that there were deaths that I got because it was in double tap versus just because I was using a G7. And so this is going to actually completely remove that because you're technically minutely faster with it on than off. So there won't ever be a moment where you feel like you died because it was on double tap. You might, you might get caught in the delay, but technically what this would mean is that the DPS is the same, but you might have like been in that weird limbo where it's like just split seconds, but that the gap where you're going to think it was because double tap is going to be way slower. People will still claim this and they will still rage and bitch about how it was double tap because they couldn't pull the trigger. But realistically, the only difference is going to be the consistency of your shots coming out versus the number of shots coming out. So that's and it will only get you killed if you miss bursts, basically. But then you might have hit one more shot otherwise. But I would say, especially because the hip fire and everything, realistically, you're probably still going to be about the same. But that the DPS is essentially the same. So that won't be an issue. So if you miss one burst and hit the next, that'd be the same as hitting every other shot if you weren't in double tap. So that would, anyway, that's, I think, enough over explaining. What's next? I think the last thing for body, yeah, anvils. That's the last thing for bodies. Well, let's go ahead and show you guys how we do anvils. It's super similar. Super similar. R301 and flatline anvils. Well, the rate of fire is different, but the damage is still double. So that is going to be similar. The shots to kill is still going to be half. So it's going to be that divided by 2. Oh, you know what? I need to double. Yeah. Good. So because of the way that the stuff works, just copying and pasting the half thing, that doesn't work. It's just gonna tell me what I need to type in here, because I have to put in 6, I have to put in 5, I have to put in 7. Because if I leave it as 14, or rather, if there's a 13 divided by 2, if I leave that as not a whole number, 15 divided by, this is, I have to put in 8 kind of thing. Or rather, I can just type it in up top too, because that's the same. Otherwise, it's going to use this number as my equation thing, which is not good. That's not what we want. And we're actually going to borrow, here, we'll do 5, 4, 5, 4, 6, 5, 6, 5, and we're going to borrow the G7 equation, because we do need something similar. Why does that say point? Oh, that says J69. Okay. We're going to borrow this because we need something similar. I think we do. 90% sure we need something similar. Yeah, because we still need to do the shots to kill -1. Do we? Do we need to do that? What the fuck was that for? Actually, no. We don't need to do that. This is the same. This is the same as any other equation, because this isn't a burst. It's a regular shot, so it's just a different rate of fire. So this is one projectile, so I don't have to do a burst delay compensation. This is still going to be the ADS time and the shots to kill -1, you know, divided by the rate of fire, then plus the ADS time. That's still the same equation. It's just a matter of what I make that rate of fire, and then the rate of fire reduction, which will be calculated. I have that is 1.5 times body damage. Well, that's a lie, because anvils are just in this it's just 2 shots, so it costs 2 ammo. It does 2 shots at the same time. It's not actually a different reduction. For some reason I had that be the case, but the number of shots to kill to the chest it's just fine, where I don't need that to be anything different. It's just going to make the rate of fire slower, and the time to kill on the flat line, of course I didn't write down what the, why would I not write it down? Okay, back to the other page. 1.60 for which one? Flatline? 5 or 4, and the R3 is 1.7. There we go. There's that. Okay, so flatline 6. What's magic number? Gives me 1.6. Oh, look at that. I was correct. A 3. 1.6 to 1.64. 1.63 is perfect. So that would be just fine. Just fine. Yeah. And the R301 anvils need to be something similar, but obviously that needs to be faster. A 5, nope, that's too fast. A 4, nope, that's too slow. 4.2, that's actually perfect as well. Okay, 4.2. 1.73. Alrighty. It might be the headshot of why I put the reduction in there, by the way. But for now, again, all of these TTKs are like by no means set in stone, because we still have headshot values to do and headshot multipliers to do. So that doesn't mean that these are final by any standard. They have to go through certain things, especially the anvil rounds, because that's based off of the standard rifle, not off of anvils. So whatever headshot multiplier I gave to the standard is going to be applied to anvils, and so that's why the flatline might have had that might be why the flatline had a 1.5 multiplier to the chest instead of a 2, because the headshots likely got out of hand. So we'll have to see what we can do about that. But in the meantime, this is the body time to kill in gray of every gun in the game besides shotguns. So the triple take with a choke is the longest at 2.56. Coming up after that is the Sentinel with Anvil at 2.45. And again, this is after at 180 health, which is my version of Purple Bod. So there's that. And we got the Kraber at 2.31, charge rifle at 2.22, which is a significant buff for the charge rifle, by the way, just so you guys know. That's with the beam. With no beam, it's still above 6 seconds. But with the beam, you can't even get under 3. So big buff to charge rifle for sure. Big buff. A lot of people are going to be going, this is the best gun in the game, for sure, because they're used to being so trash that this is such a huge improvement that they're going to go charge rifle OP. But it isn't. Nothing in my meta is overpowered. That's kind of the thing about my meta. I'm specifically making it so that nothing is OP. Every single thing has a counter. And when we're done with this, including limbs, including headshots, there will be pros and cons to every single weapon, making it come down to how you use it in the situations of which you are in. So There is no OP gun. There is no one size fits all gun anymore. It's all going to come down to personal preference and the situation that you find yourself in the most common, and then knowing what how your gun wins so that you can create circumstances in which your gun does. That is by all means what the meta should always be, is creating the circumstances in which you can win, that instead of using a one size fits all gun and then playing strategically from there. Realistically, you can run the R3 every game, all game, and there's never really a downside to using it, because the closest thing that's going to beat it is so difficult to use for most players that you're probably going to win anyway, meaning the R99 and the Volt. So and so again, another reason why the shotguns are having such a field day right now is because within 5 meters, the R301 is not at its best, and the EVA 8 is. And so that's a new gun that didn't used to beat the R301, that if players are using the R301 up close, they're going, what am I doing wrong? This gun always wins. And now they're getting killed, because now there's a competitive shotgun in the meta instead of the R301 just kind of being this blanket dominating gun. And even people who use the R99 are finding this out, because the people that are good with the R99 are getting killed by people who are good with the shotgun, because they basically tie, and the EVA 8 kind of wins. So that's where a lot of the complaints are coming from, is because, again, they're not used to it. It's not that the EVA 8's broken. It is apparently, according to not math I did, but math other people did, apparently the time to kill is right next to the R99. So it's not technically broken, but it is easier to use than the R99. So the experience time to kill the R99 versus the potential of the EVA 8 within that range, and how easy it may or may not be to use both of those to their max potential, then the shotgun is taking over. But and another thing is that the mag capacity, the R99 barely has enough. It's like a 19 shot kill with a 20 round mag. The EVA 8's a 3 to 4 shot kill, mostly 4 shot kill with an 8 round mag. So you have extra capacity before you have to reload in your magazine, which is another reason I saw some people trying to get the shotgun ammo to stack in stacks of 8. I mean, I couldn't even believe that they actually wanted the ammo stacks to go down again from where it was before. Anyway, a second. Let me answer my phone real quick. But anyway, that's neat. My brother's working on some stuff. He works for a movie house that does promotional work and stuff, and so he's working on a film right now. Obviously, I can't say what it is, but it's they're going through and doing props right now, and so he gets to photograph the props and help make some of the props. I guess he's making a template for the prop right now, and then they get first for still photo work, there's one thing, but then if he's not making like the actual film props or anything like that, but for specific photo shoots to get the props to do what they need them to do, sometimes they do make them from scratch. So it's pretty neat, cool stuff. Anyway, so his work that already came out that I can't talk about is Annabelle. He was on the Annabelle Homecoming film, and his photograph was the promotional content for the bus posters. So all the bus ads had a photo he took of the Annabelle doll, kind of thing. And apparently there's like a little joke on set that no one was to let anyone be left alone with the doll. That no one wanted to be in the room alone with it, so they all made sure that there was a buddy with them in the room whenever someone was with the doll or holding the doll or putting the doll somewhere. No one was allowed to be alone with it because no one wanted to be alone with it. So it was kind of funny that everyone was like had a buddy system during that shoot. So anyway, getting back to the work. I think it's time to get into headshots. Actually, I think this is fun. This is when we get into finding if what we did works, kind of thing. Further into our plan of the mass web work of what we're doing here. So we have all of the body stuff, which is fantastic. I don't think we're not missing anything besides shotguns, but again, the shotguns are the last thing I do. I hate balancing shotguns. They're so annoying. Because the pellet spreads and all that, like it's just I have to go off of data for that. That's incomplete data. It's not like I don't have equations or anything like that, or it's I can't know for sure the exact meter. Like it's mostly guesstimations. Like some of it is from game testing and stuff like that. But like, I would rather be able to coordinate with the people creating the pellet spreads and go, hey, what are you doing right now? What's your spread look like according to the math? And I think it would be a certain level of calculus that would be having to do all of this. And I haven't done calc in a couple years now. I did take it. I took a year and a half of calculus in college, but it's been so long since I've used it that it's basically all gone. So I'm familiar with the vocabulary, but the remembering the equations and all that kind of stuff, like that's been gone for a long time now, which is unfortunate because I did really enjoy that. But I went into photography and I don't need calculus in photography, so I didn't use it. I stopped going to school for it because it was costing money that I didn't really have, so I couldn't keep learning because I wasn't going to go into a discipline that used it. So I had to stop, which was a bummer because I did like it, but it wasn't what made me as happy. So I changed my course. That's still actually correct. 1.5 times body damage, and then this says 1.3 times body damage. So what the fuck was I doing here? Because I'm fairly certain that Anvil just makes you shoot 2 shots instead of 1, because it costs 2 ammo, so it fucking should make you shoot 2 shots instead of 1. Hemlock doesn't have anvils anymore, so that can go away. That is close to the same thing. This is 2 shots at 5 SPS every 300 milliseconds. That's close to the same thing. And then the Devotion has an 800 milliseconds period. Wind up, where you shoot 7 shots. That's the new Devotion. This was done in 1 equation, so I had stuff written down here instead of doing it in 2 lines, so that's going to change. The Triple Take has a choke of 300 milliseconds per shot. Which I think I just reworked to saying it like this, 300 milliseconds choke. Yeah, like that, probably like that. And then the Lombo, the Sentinel Anvil is 1.28 times body damage. I think it was 100 and something to whatever, and then the rate of fire was reduced by I think it was 40%. I want to say it was 40%. 40%. There we go. Let's double check that. 40%, 1.28 body damage. Perfect. That's the wrong thing. This could probably just get deleted. I'll have to remake that for sure. This is all wrong. And I don't think this is even going to be important to know the time to kill plus a reload. Because this is all... No, it is. I need to make sure... Yeah, I remember. This was actually important. I'll remake it, though. I'm just going to delete this for now. Yeah, I don't need that sheet. There's nothing important on that sheet anymore. Besides, like, maybe comparing to what I had it at before to what it is now, but that's not that important. I don't need to tell you guys that I held myself back. That's, I could be like, you see, I did want it this way, but I met you all halfway, so don't complain at me. Like, no, like, it's just, I changed my mind. I'm not doing it to be manipulative. I changed my mind. There's no point in comparing me to me because I was wrong. So I don't need to compare me to me. I made a bad choice, and now I'm fixing it. So I don't need to be like, see, I made it a lot worse, and so ha ha ha, you should be happy that I didn't do this. Like, that's just manipulative and dumb. So I'm not going to do that. Let's see. That can all go away. This can all go away. This is all shotgun stuff. Okay. Next, we need to change up some stuff. And since we're redoing headshots, which I actually didn't think I would end up doing, because I didn't think I would need to go through and redo all the guns, I'm actually going to redo the level 3 helmet to keep it at... Why am I deleting the calculations one? That's dumb. I don't need to delete it. I'm going to keep the level 3 helmet at 50% reduction. So I'm going to be reworking it to 15, 30, and then 50 instead of 15, 30, 45. It was kind of weird that I did 45. I didn't, but funny enough, I didn't check to see what the headshot reduction was before I did that. So after I made all the calculations, I I realized that the headshot multiplier was 50% and I had it at 45%, and I was like, fuck, because it's such a small minute difference that it wouldn't have mattered, but to go in to all of the equations and then delete that was going to take forever, and it would have meant redoing all of the charts and graphs and all the work that I already did. So I just said fuck it and didn't change it, and was like, Respawn can do that work, not me. I think I even said that on one of the streams. So now that I am redoing that work, I am going to fix it and put it to 50% so it's less work for the devs, but like it literally would have been more work for me than it would have been for them. So there's that. So this is going to be level 1. So I'm going to change this. This is going to be a 15% reduction, by the way, because now there is no helmet scenario. So that's changed since the last time I reworked this. Because when I did season 7, you didn't spawn with a helmet, so I had to check for no helmet as well. But now I don't have to. So now I can just call this drop instead, because that is level 1 body, 140 health with a 15% reduction. And then we're going to be checking for what I would call mid-game, which is going to be level 2, and that will be body and helmet. So we'll just call that level 2B plus H. So assuming that you have both, which is going to be a 30% reduction. And then we're going to be going over what I would call standard end game, which is level 3 body, level 2 helmet. So that'll keep that way. And I think by then, no, I want the percentage. So we're going to call that, we'll do level 3 bod, and I'll even shorten this even more. I'll do LVL 3 B and LVL 2H. I'll shorten it to that. And then that's just be level 2 B and H. I'll change that to LVL. And then this would be LVL level 3 B and H. LVL 3 B plus H. And then this is what I would call max, which is level 5. So 50% reduction and 200, and then 50% reduction and 180. And so you might be wondering, well, why are you not testing every single scenario? Well, that's not the important part. The important part, most important part, are going to be end game fights, and what is going to be the standard end game fight And so in this particular instance, I'm balancing for what most players will get by the end of the game, which is going to be at least purple body shield and at least level 2 helmet. So that's what I'm using as my standard. Next, from that standard, I want to see how much of a difference the level 3 helmet is doing players. So to make sure that my headshot values actually matter and that you see a change of time to kill in gameplay and experience a difference between a level 2 and level 3 helmet, that is where that's going to come into play, as well as what would happen against 200 health with the max helmet as well. So I want to see how much slower my time to kills are getting, and to make sure that I am actually creating potential counters for certain things to show that as the game progresses, different weapons start to do better than others, even in headshots. And that's the goal, so that even at endgame, nothing is certain. That you have your best guess, but what it's going to come down to is what is your enemy using gear-wise, which is going to make, again, support legends all the more helpful. You know, being able to get the purple body shield early so that you can get it to red will become more important. Having a lifeline to get level 3 helmets for the team, or going to a replicator to get level 3 helmets for the team, that will be important. So that is the goal with this, is to make sure that I'm seeing an elongated time to kill between level 3 and level 2 helmet, and then I see an additional elongation between 180 and 200, which is going to be pretty easy to see. But some of the guns won't necessarily do that. Like the higher shot guns, like 40 damage plus, don't necessarily at 200 health require an extra shot. So that's why for certain guns I need certain scenarios. Additionally, I also want to make sure that guns that drop perform worse throughout the progress of the game. So that way we have early game, mid game, end game. I want to make sure that there's certain guns in the game that are not doing so great comparatively by the end game. So that's why I need this scenario. Which is also why we did that with bodies. This is the same thing. Comparatively, I'm making sure that by early, mid, end game, that now certain guns are not doing great, and then this is to make sure that by early, mid, end game, that headshots are not saving that. I need to keep that pattern and keep those guns that are supposed to be bad where they are. So that's the goal here. Next is the situational firearms like snipers. For those of you that remembered, situationally, I want the Sentinel with Anvil to be a one-shot headshot. And what was that situation? It was the green one. The 160 health and 30% damage reduction. This, situationally, I want to be a one-shot headshot for one gun in the game. The Sentinel. And then also the Kraber. So I guess 2 guns in the game, if I'm, But that's where I need to make sure that having a level 3 helmet is going to be enough to decrease that damage, which is going to be over here. This is where that's actually going to come into play, because now this is the actual equation for producing the damages of how much it would do to the head. So these were shotgun headshot damages, but actually, as a fun fact, I just remembered I decided to remove the headshot and limb fall off. I think shotguns already didn't have limb fall off, by the way. Yeah, they already didn't have limb fall off, I can tell. So the shotguns didn't have limb fall off. I'm actually going to rework shotguns to not have a headshot multiplier. So all of this shotgun stuff to the head isn't going to matter, because that isn't a thing anymore. So all of these like super high headshot values, they don't mean anything anymore, because that's not a thing. No longer something that we are worrying about. So they're just gone. That was for hammer points, by the way, in case you were wondering what that was, because I had to go off of hammer points, I had to go off a double tap, and blah 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 blah, and it was a whole thing. So there's this one, and this one. Those were low profile that no longer need to be accounted for. Although, not gonna lie, did a pretty good job balancing for low profile, even with headshot damages. So like, kind of annoying that it's like not a thing I have to keep track of anymore, but at the same time, kind of nice. And then I'm gonna fix these equations. So the headshot damage against no helmet, which is actually now that's not a thing anymore either. So we can delete that. We don't have no helmet anymore. So this is going to be level 1 helmet. Which I guess I'll just leave green. Doesn't really matter. And in case you weren't wondering, this is the formula for that, by the way. This is what we've talked about before, where the headshot multiplier is well, how you deal with headshot with helmet reduction. So the helmet reduction works by applying a integer to the headshot multiplier. So the space G7 in the screen is the headshot multiplier. So let's say we have a headshot multiplier of 2. So our headshot multiplier is a 2x, which is common in snipers. So for, say, the Sentinel, that would be a 2. Now, when you're not wearing a helmet, the actual math happening to the headshot multiplier is 2 times 1. That is the math behind that. And the 1 is your helmet value. Now, when you start dealing with a helmet reduction, say a 15% reduction, if we're dealing with a 15% reduction, that as an integer turns into 0.15. And then that 0.15 is subtracted, or rather you subtract 1 from that integer. So when you have a helmet, that 1 that the 2 is being multiplied by turns into 0.15, and it turns into 0.85. And those, no, I don't, it's not a command. It's 0.15 and 0.85. I'm not trying to give you a command. That's not what I'm trying to do. 0.15 plus 0.85. I want to type that in chat. I'm not giving you a command. Fuck you. Turns into 0.15. Oh my, I can't even do 0.15. What the hell? Jesus, 0.15. Can I do that? Okay, I can do 0.15 and 0.85. That's what those two integers get turned into. And so the 2 gets multiplied by the 0.85. That's what happens to the 2. And then after that has been multiplied, then the 0.5 gets added. So it would be 2 times 0.85. So that times 0.85 is equal to, thank you, 1.7. So first you would do 2 times 1.85. So at 2 times 0.85, which would equal 1.7. And then that 1.7 would then get added to 0.15, which would be equal to 1.85. And then that 1.85 would be multiplied by your body damage, by your body shot damage. And so if you had a body damage, like, say, the R301 is like a 14, so then that would be your headshot damage of 1.85 times 14. So if the R301 had a 2x multiplier, then it would be 25.9 damage, or in game 26 damage to the head against a non-fortified enemy. And then if you did have a fortified enemy, then that would be multiplied by the fortified body damage, not overall. So you would have to do 14 times 0.85, which would be 12, and then that times 1.85, and then round that to 22. So fortified would be 22 damage to the head, and non-fortified would be 26 damage to the head, which is going to be different than if you did 26 times 0.85. Oh, okay, apparently not. But anyway, so I guess no matter what, it doesn't really matter. But I do it the first way I described. I deal headshot. Maybe it would matter if it was a higher number. In fact, we can double check that, and then I can just make my equation simple. So if we took, say, the 1.85 times 70, the current Sentinel damage, then we get 130 damage to not fortified, times 0.85 would be 110 or 111 damage to non-fortified, if that was the case. Or if I take the 70 times the 0.85 times 1.85, I still get 110. But this gets 110, not 110.5. So it does matter, because 110.5 in game should round up to 111, which the 130, or rather the 129.5 times 0.85. Oh no, that's just because it's exactly the same. As long as it's exactly the same. As long as I'm not using a rounded number, that's exactly the same. So it doesn't actually matter, which is good to know that we're doing that. So that's the thing. That's the equation for headshot values, if that makes sense. That probably got a lot more confusing when I started talking really fast and was trying to work out actual numbers. But I'll do that again, but slower. Just so you know. So sorry, I got kind of hyper focused and I needed to answer a question that my brain had. And now that I've answered the question that my brain had, I can kind of move on with it, doing it the right way. So anyway, so this equation is going to our headshot multiplier, which is G7, times the helmet reduction, and then being multiplied by the body damage, which is I7, and I7 is going to equal the damage on the other page. So we're doing fortified. Oh, so that's just the easiest way to do it. So I am doing it from the fortified body damage, which is going to make this easier. Yeah. So that's the way that I was doing it before. And then this one is going to be doing the same thing from the base to the rate, the headshot multiplier. That's the same thing. And then this is the 30% reduction, doing that thing. And then this is the 45% reduction, but that is getting changed to a 50% reduction to save respawn some work. So I'm adjusting that. And so we have fortified and normal, and then these guys will get copy pasted all the way down, assuming that I do the right things. And then this is going to get changed to format the same way as the body did, for not so obvious reasons, but it is important because it makes it easier to copy paste everything. Whoops. There we go. This is base. This is fortified. And then fortified normal. Perfect. I have to do it one more time. Yeah. This is going to be a whole thing. These equations end up being different, so those won't matter. But everything else, this should be the same still. Should. We'll do all the math over again. So we'll make sure we got it right. But the rate of fire is going to be a thing. The headshot multiplier is going to be a thing. And this is where the copy paste comes into play. So real quick, I want to make sure that I have the order of the guns correct, because I'm going to read them a certain way as well for easier comparison. So I'm going to start categorizing them in certain ways that I wouldn't otherwise. So P2020 is one of those guns that is going to be categorically in a different state because I need it to be in the AR time to kill range. So that's why this is going to get copy pasted up here so that this can get replaced by something else. The RE45 is a SMG, but it's not going to be right there because this is the fastest time to kill SMG here, which is the R99. So we're going to compare the R99 to the alternator next, because that's the next fastest after the R9. And then after the alternator is the Prowler. So that's going to go there. And then after that is the RE45, I think, actually. So the Volt is going to go down there. And then I think the RE is what's going to go next, if I'm not mistaken. And this is for readability. Why do I have the Prowler twice? Oh, that's funny. Okay. Here we go. There. There. And then the Prowler is now no longer care package, and gold is now no longer the thing. That was out of date when I wrote it. It's not like the season heirloom was new in season 7. It was just easier for me to do it that way. So I'm gonna just put H there for heirloom, so I remember what the heirloom guns are, because it is different from my last time I went through the rework. Then after the Volt is actually the Havoc with the double tap. So this is why we're redoing that, because that's where that belongs. The Wingman is not going to be anywhere near this. This is actually more with the P2020. So that's going to get put away. And then those can come back. That was unneeded. And then after the Havoc double tap, the flat line is the next AR in line. And then after the flat line should be the Hemlock. Oh, the L-Star. And then the R301. Then the L-Star is going to come up. The L-Star. There we go. L-Star. And then the R301. I'm going to have to move the Havoc here for a second. Here we go. Then the Havoc. And these reference cells are obviously all messed up, so we're just going to go ahead and do this. Because it should be all the same. Yeah, it's all the same. Okay. Different time to kill us, though, so that's why we're not copying over the time to kill. And then after the Havoc is something... Oh, the Havoc actually may not even be the right move here. It probably isn't, actually. Yeah, it obviously isn't. The R301 isn't the Havoc. Isn't that? Then it's the Hemlock, then the Wingman. Oh, but where's the P2020 and all this? The P2020... Oh, then there's actually the Devotion Pre-Fire. The Devotion Pre-Fire is actually after... Oh, and the L-Star is actually after the R301. So it is the flatline, then the R301. If we want to go off of... Now I'm going to start doing it by fastest time to kill. So, L-Star and the R3 need to switch. Which is pretty easy here. There we go. And then the P2020, not the P2020, then the Devotion comes in next, which doesn't have a headshot thing yet, so that makes this easy. Oh, it's not even the... Okay. Okay. Then it's 1.3 with the Hemlock. And then the Spitfire and all that are just going to be the same. That's fine. So Hemlock then comes in here. That goes... There we go. Then that can all stay the same. And then 1.42, this is where the P2020 is going to come into play. And I know some of you guys might be, but why is the P2020 beating guns in the meta? Well, because that's what's healthy for the game, you know, like... the P2020 doesn't have to be completely fucking useless. Like, I know some of those would be like, yes, it does. It kind of doesn't, though. It doesn't have to be useless. It is pretty much useless. It doesn't have to be useless, and I don't want it to be useless. So, I'm fixing that. I am making it not useless. It is by no means a good gun, and the headshot damage will not fix that. But it's viable, and it has to be somewhat viable in the mid game if it's going to be viable in the end game. I wanted to have hammer points in the game, but if I put in hammer points, I have to take out double tap, and I don't want to take out double tap. I like double tap as an option. It would save me a good amount of work, realistically, but I like what it does for the Havoc. I like enough about what it does for the Havoc to keep it in, and what I could have it do for the EVA 8, and so on and so forth. I see the potential more with that than hammers. There's not a huge reason to make that gun in the game good, so it might as well just be bad. You know, like the game will be fine if it's just mediocre the entire time, instead of it having one attachment that makes it mediocre and then one attachment that doesn't. I've done fucked that up. 1 second. Do there, formats, and then that. That's all I had to do. Just that. So now the P2020 is being adjusted for where it is more in the meta. And then that works. This is still going to go by class, so this is all still fine. I might switch around the triple take and the R301 anvils, just to make me feel better about it. But by class and what they're going to be doing, this is still important. So those are going to stay. Where they are for the most part. And then this is all basically the same too. The triple take with the choke is in the wrong spot, but that's not the worst. It's not where I wanted it, but it's where it ended up. And there's just, you know, when you do stuff like this, that's what's going to happen. There's going to be stuff that ends up where you didn't necessarily want it to go, but it's what makes sense and where it needs to go. So, you have to make concessions when you do it. And I you know, again, I'm making different concessions than Respawn. That's really what it comes down to. If you want to be as polite about this as possible, is that I'm making different concessions. That's kind of it, is that I'm making different concessions than Respawn is, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So this is just where I would prefer the game. That's what we're talking about here. It's not that this is a bad thing, it's just this is where it would come down to. So yeah, there's that. That's fine. That looks much prettier, and we can kind of see the huge differences between the actual snipers. Oh, but I guess I have the longbow. Oh, I guess I did decide to keep the longbow to take the 8x, and then the triple take would take the 6 to give them a difference. I guess I did decide that, because this side of the line takes the 8x, and this side of the line can take a 6x beside these two. I mean, with that too. Anvils obviously don't make the gun suddenly a marksman, so these guys are capped at a 4. The triple take and these 3 are, or these 2, triple take G7 3030 can go up to a 6. The longbow can go up to an 8, with the sentinel and the charge rifle going up to an 8. And then the triple take can go to range, but with only a 6x with a longer time to kill, which is the reason for that is to give the longbow a place. So the longbow has a faster time to kill than the triple take at range and can take a higher optic. So if you want to have the better time to kill up close, then the triple take is your gun. But if you don't care about time to kill and you want range potential and max range potential with better velocity, more consistent, and a better time to kill, then the longbow is your way to go. So yeah, that is the differences between the two. To make sure that that's actually like true, we've got some numbers to work out, but that is the goal with them. And then this is all just fine. So if we were going to take this list and convert that into where the body is, that is what we would do. So we would be taking these Oh, come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this actually has a name now, so we'll just call that the 810. Oh, what do you know? That's actually an even amount. I wasn't expecting that. It's like a little what is it? Bingo. It's a bingo board. Anyway. So R99 to the alternator to the prowler, the RE to the volt, to the havoc double tap to the flatline to the L star. No. The R3 to the L star. So this needs to get fixed. R3, L star to the R3. To the devotion pre-fire. To the hemlock, to the wingman, to the havoc. The havoc doesn't come up for a while, so that can go there. To devotion pre-fire to the hemlock. That would go there. This can just go away. I don't need to be reminded what anvils do. That's fine. These are going to go away for sure. That's going to come up later. The hemlock, and then the wingman. So wingman, where do you go? What happened to the wingman? What did I do? Oh, it's up here, isn't it? Yep. Right mirror. Like, I know I moved it. Like, the fuck. Wingman, hemlock, wingman, havoc, then the havoc. And then you know what I'm gonna do? There we go. We'll just delete them. Spitfire and then P2020. So we'll grab the Spitfire while we're here. Havoc, Spitfire, and then the Devotion Pre-Fire. We'll take all of this. Goes up there. So that's done. Spitfire to P2020. This is all going to come out. And P2020 goes in. And then after the P2020 is the A10, which is the new LMG. Archimedes. The Archimedes, the Devotion. That can go away. That can go there. That doesn't need a thing. Yeah, so the Devotion was that. The Havoc is a 300 milliseconds open bolt delay. What it hit the wrong button, didn't I? There we go. And then Havoc double tap removes the open bolt, no burst delay. There we go. That's all correct. That's the thing. That's the thing. Then after the Devotion, we get the 3030. And then after the 3030 should be the G7 Scouts with double tap. Yep. Slightly faster than the G7 Standard. we go. And then we get the flatline anvil. The triple take. The R301 anvil. Nope. There we go. Okay, R301 anvils, and then the longbow. So this needs to get shifted. I'd actually my mouse sensitivity for all this work to make it a bit more precise here. What did I have it at before? I had it at 9,000 DPI. You're kidding me. Jesus Christ. Okay, I don't know why it was so high. So longbow to triple take. Oh, not triple take choke. Longbow to sentinel. Honestly, I hate that. Honestly, that's just too high. Where's my razor thing? Oh, it's this one. Mamba elites. Calibration. Nope. Oh, what do you mean no calibration? Yeah, there is. I have the razor matte. I've got, I think it's the Firefly V2. Yeah, I have that. Liftoff range. That, please and thank you. Yeah, there we go. That's reasonable. Performance, custom performance. There we go. Stage. Why is that 4,500 DPI? That's so weird. This needs to be like 6,000 DPI. That's more than enough. Put that down to like 4,000. Put that down to like 2,000. That up to 2,000. Oh my god, that's slow. Holy shit. Yeah, that's fine. And then the next stage is 16,000 DPI. That's crazy. We'll put that to 9,000. That way I can change it. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Cool. I'm still at 9,000. There we go. 6,000 DPI. Sentinel charge rifle with beam. This is actually important to take all that. Okay, charge rifle with beam, and then Kraber. Really? Then Kraber? You're kidding? Okay. Then Kraber. H. Kraber, and then definitely not that. This is the very bottom one. That can go there, and then Sentinel Anvil, and then triple take, choke, and then charge with no beam. Save. Perfect. That is everything in order. The 3030 is now an heirloom gun, by the way. In case you were wondering what the other heirloom was, it is that. So that should be just fine. Next is to make the headshots the same as this, except minus all of that. The reason that we had to do this was to make sure that these cells were in the right position for everything to equal each other, because instead of doing all this over again, I'm just going to make this cell equal. Oh, and actually, you know what? To make this even easier, this whole row is going to get moved to the no, come on, do the thing. Fuck it, this hasn't been done yet. Deletes and then inserts. This is now the headshot multiplier back here, and you will understand why in a minute. Or actually, it should go even further back. It should go even further back. The reason is so that when I make certain equations equal, or certain things equal other certain things, I don't have to worry. Insert copied cells. Yeah, no, I don't want to insert copied cells. I just want to insert. There we go. The reasoning is to make sure that as I, god damn it, hit the wrong button. Come on, go. Fuck it. That, and then this up. We'll put it up there, and then we'll follow it by. I keep goddamn hitting X instead of C. I just want to copy paste it. That's all I'm trying to do. And I keep hitting the wrong button. And that goes there, 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 and then this gets copied all the way down. Yeah. The reasoning is so that I can have the cell equal the cell on the other page, and all of the data will be the same. So that way I don't have to keep cross-referencing every single thing. Are you kidding me right now? That. There we go. Yeah, it'll make a lot more sense in a second. Why are you doing that? That's just so dumb. Okay. Yeah. So it'll make all this be way easier because I can just do this equal to this, which for some reason just makes that 0, and then I can do really copy paste. Why are you? Why are you doing that? No, not. I'm not copy pasting 0. I'm copy pasting this. Come on. It does it off the reference cell, so it should be exactly the same, but instead it's pasting 0. Why is it pasting 0? It's not supposed to paste. It's supposed to paste equal to that. Okay. Hold on. So I'm going to write this as equal to body exclamation point A77. That's equal to that. And then this is going to go there. That's A79. This is going to go there to D. That's going to go there to D. That's going to go there. That's going to... Why is that 0? Dude, it's not equal to 0. Okay, whatever. That's working. So that's enough for this to copy paste from here down and get all that data, which was the goal, because the shotguns don't have that data anymore. So this is all the stuff I don't need. All of this, because charge rifle no beam is now the weakest headshot or the weakest body shot, so all that can get deleted. This is all the stuff that I need, all in here. This is all getting changed, so that can all get deleted. And then all of this stuff is going to get changed as well. And then I just go through and delete everything that has information that I don't need, like this. And it's way faster, even though I do have to go through and delete a bunch of shit, it's way faster than having to go through and like double check all of the numbers, and then if I change something and it doesn't change on the other page, and it sucks. So to be able to do this instead is way better. And then I do the same thing with all of the body shot references and damages, but this gets harder to do if you have that headshot multiplier creating a gap in the equal. So giving that little multiplier is no good. Super annoying. So there we go. Then I just make the equations go off of these reference cells and stuff like that, and then we're good to go. So the rate of fire is going to be equal to whatever it is on this page, which is right there. And then this should copy to there just fine, but it doesn't want to. I don't know why it doesn't want to. This would be D. It should just go to, it won't go to H. If I go here and hit copy, and then go here and hit paste, it should go from D to G. Perfect. And that is still the case. And then that should copy perfect to those reference cells. This should copy to this reference cell. And now all of this can get copy pasted all the way down. Or you could not. I forgot. It can only go to there. Get the spacing right. And now all of that is exactly the same and will keep up with the thing. And so that lets me know that there's a problem on the other page, not that there's a problem on this page. So there's a problem on the other page in body that I have to go deal with because the reference cells for the, I'm guessing the Havoc, are not doing great. Where's the Havoc? Havoc. Oh, the Havoc's doing just fine. Those reference cells are doing perfect. Havoc is going up to Havoc double tap. Is that getting all? It's getting all the way up there. Perfect. So this is all just fine. The anvils are what are not having a good time. This is equal to the reference of that times 2, and that is not working. So flatline times 2 is all the way up there. Go to that times 2. And now this can go to that. And then that should be the same number of shots to go. I type those in myself, so that's something that I have to account for. And then R301 anvils are actually holding up just fine. Yep, those are holding up just fine. That's funny. Okay, so that lets me know that that was an issue. I can double check that by scrolling up this, and everything should be okay. Nothing should have a reference error. None of that does. And then I can focus on having to input these myself. This is going to be the calculation based off of the health minus the damage, but the damage is going to be over to the right because we're doing nothing but headshots. And then these calculations are going to be going off of this stuff. And so this is where my reference cell is messing up because this is supposed to be the headshot multiplier here. So the headshot multiplier is getting multiplied by that. So that's going to be A5 up there. And then that all is going to be multiplied by the fortified body damage, which is not I7, but J7. And that will fix this equation. And then this can all get copy pasted over to this. Nope, hold on. Here, so this is not going to be J7, but this is actually going to be I5. This is for base, and that's still correct. And now this can get copied to here. Except this is now going to be plus 0.3. This is now going to be +7. Because that's the new reference. And then this is going to go here for the same thing. Where this is going to be still I5. And then this is going to be plus 0.5 and 5. Still times A5. And then this is going to be copy pasted here. Except this is changed to 0.3. This is changed to 0.7. Yes, accept that correction. Yes. This is going to go here to there, but 5 and 5. Okay, perfect. And so now when I give this a multiplier of, say, 1.5, now it will adjust and give those equations. So let's, even if we just go up to 2. So 2, everything should be below 26, basically. That's why we know this is working, is if everything's below 26. Everything is below 26, so it's perfect. So there's that. So all of these equations are working just fine. And then these are our references for everything in between. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this at a 1.5, which is lower than current. Right now it's 1.75. Actually, for the R9, it's probably 1.5. That actually is probably the same. And then I'm going to go ahead and input these rounding up from 0.5. So that would be 19, unfortunately. And then this would be 15. This would be 18. This would be 14. This would be 16. So if it's 0.5 or higher, I round up. If it's 0.49 or lower, I round down. And then those numbers get referenced here in this formula, because this is equal to 140 divided by the that damage there. And that just rolls all the way back there. And then this is equal to 160 divided by this reference damage here. And that goes there. Then this is equal to 180 divided by the same reference damage here, because it's the 120 helmet. And then this is equal to 180 divided by the third reference here, level 3 helmet. And then this is equal to 200 divided by the third reference here. Yes, accept that correction. And that would be the number of shots to kill. And then those would get implemented, say, here for 9, 8, 11, 9, 12, 10, 13, 12, 15, and 13. And then these shots to kill would be the aim down sight time plus the number of shots to kill minus 1 divided by the rate of fire. So that's actually correct. That is actually correct. And then this is actually correct. Yeah, this is correct. This is correct. This is correct. Yep. Yep. And so we're going to copy those two cells there, except this is going to get changed to K7 and H7. Oh no, this is K7. This is H7. There we go. So that would be our headshot time to kills for the R9 if it had a 1.5 times rate of fire. Obviously, this is too fast. This time to kill, we're trying to get to 0.85, I think. So a 1.5 headshot multiplier is out of the question for this particular gun. This is what we're looking at here. So this is where we're going to write down our headshots. Time to kills again. Everything. I'm just going to get a new over here. I'm going to double check that. Yeah, no, this is all old garbage or something that we've already covered, so we have been written on. Have to worry about that. On to headshots. What we want to be for guns. So the R9, the Alts, the Prowler, the RE, and the Volts. The three of these are gonna get turned into 0.85 to 0. But those guys, the RE is turning into 0.95. Yep, 5 to 9, and then the volts is 0.9 to 0.4. Okay, that's where we're gonna start with those guys because those are looking pretty good. Go back to head. We've got this working out. All of this stuff is going to get calculated. So this is going to equal here, not the other page. And then all of this is now copyable from here all the way down. I do want to replace it. And now all that is perfect. So if I just delete those, delete those, delete those, delete those, delete those, then this can all get deleted too. And it'll all depend on the headshot multiplier that I assign it on the way down. And this is all perfectly ready to do what we just did. And that's how we do this as fast as we do, because it would be a pain in the ass to do all of this every single time. So I make sure that whatever I do is scalable. It can all get copied and pasted and replaced so that I don't have to waste so much of my goddamn time, because I don't like doing that unless I want to. God damn it. And I don't want to. So there we go. And the Kraber, we have to remember, is going to have a different equation. We have to keep in mind that this ADS time here is going to be a different formula. So we have to come back to that. Actually, we don't have to do the headshot time to kill for the Kraber because we know it's 0. So this is actually where I get to cheat and just do this because it's always a one-shot headshot. So it's actually not 0, it's actually 0.6. This is actually all just 0.6. So it doesn't matter what the equation is because it's a one-shot headshot. So thankfully, that's the easy one. And then the headshot damage does matter a bit. They have it fairly excessive, so there's no scenario where it doesn't ever be a one-shot headshot. But even just like having it be like a 2 is technically enough. But I think they have it like a 3. If not a 4, but a 3 times headshot's more than plenty. So for this to be 332, this to be 392, 295, 348, 246, and 290. And then we can tell that this is just always a 1. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and that felt like progress, even though it was all useless. So that's how we reward our brain. Let's see. What is next? These guys. So the alternator is a 20 base damage. Wow. Oh, actually, we didn't even fix the R9 yet. So let's actually fix the R9 here. So if let's just figure out how many shots we need it to be for it to be in the right ballpark here. And 13 is looking like 13. Yeah, 0.85 to 0.89. 13 is perfect. So we need to figure out how many, or rather, that can just stay whatever it is. This needs to turn into a 13 shot TTK here. this value. So at 13 shots, it needs to be a 14 damage. That's the only acceptable answer, which is 1 more damage than it currently does. So I need to figure out what will make it do 1 more damage, rounding up, which would be 1.1. 1.2 is a bit too far, so 1.15 is enough to make that round down to 14. So if I give the R99 a 1.15 headshot multiplier, that will reduce the shot to kill by, I think, just 1 round. Actually, I think it's just a 1 round reduction. So this is, again, this is the point of to making headshots on the R9 useless. You don't need to aim for the head, which is one of the reasons why it becomes a strength, even with its limited bag capacity, is that you get an amazing time to kill already to the body, and you can slightly improve it by hitting 13 of 14 shot, or by hitting actually 13 of 13 shots to the head. This is such a small reduction that you do have to hit every single shot to the head if you want to have reduced that time to kill, but it has such a great time to kill already that it doesn't matter. So this is realistically just negligible in the R9, but that's okay for this gun because it also isn't going to take much more to the legs either. This is a very forgiving gun. You just need to get it on target, and the rate of fire handles the rest. This is what gives it balance. Otherwise, it's going to be too slow or too fast compared to other weapons. So in order to keep this gun fast and feeling like an R9, it means taking away the benefits of what would likely be a 1.5 times headshot multiplier. And we can go ahead and double check that. What do we have here? So on the SMGs, the R99 has a headshot damage of what? What are we looking for? So level 1 helmets, it does 15 damage. Level 2 is 14. Level 3 is 13. So this is going to be the same as the current level 2 helmet damage. So it should be the same time to kill as well, because it's the same rate of fire and the same damage. So my time to kill that. So so against level 1 helmet, it's going to kill even faster. But my level 1 helmet is the same as their level 2 helmet. So the R9 is going to feel about the same to the head while feeling significantly better to the body. So that's how much of a reduction that you're getting in headshot. Because I can tell you right now, since the damage to level 2 helmet is 14, if you wanted to look at a level 2 helmet at 14, that time to kill is going to be a bit higher because this is that. So let me do this, which would make it a 15 shot kill. So 1 second. So you save, you go from 1.18 to 1 in Apex's current. So they help a little bit, but not a lot. They don't help a lot. It's 180 millisecond reduction, which is almost negligible, and it's a 15 shot kill to the head versus the standard kill to the body, which I don't actually remember what the standard kill to the body would be. What is the standard kill to the body? It'd be 200 divided by the base damage of what? 11. So what would 11 turn into? Oh, whoops, it does do 14. But if it did 11, then it would be a 19 shot kill at, oh, hold on. This needs to be 0.18. 1.18. And if it was a 15 shot kill, it'd be 0.96. So versus a 19 shot kill. So it saves you for a couple shots, but that's still basically like you have to hit almost all headshots to get the same benefit already. So the R9 is going to feel the same in how accurate you need to be. It's just going to be quicker to the body and not as effective on headshots. So it still will benefit you. You still have to do the exact same thing you have to do now. It's just not going to give you a super awesome time to kill because you're already getting that time to kill to the body in my version. So to get a little bit faster time to kill to the head is what we do for us. So that would be the thing. go to 14 again. And then that would go to 15. That would go to 0.22. And then this has to go back down to 180. Oh, which gives it a 13. So there we go. So that's what we're looking for our R9. Which frankly to the head at level 2 is only from 0.96 to 0.89. That's 50 milliseconds. That's almost nothing. So realistically, like for how fast you could shred with an R9, that's staying about the same. It's almost a negligible difference. I'm just making the body shot time to kill a bit more consistent. That's my change to the R9 essentially in a nutshell. Versus if you want to look at what the max potential, the minimum time to, well, yeah, I guess it would be the fastest time to kill potential would be the easiest way to say that. The fastest time to kill potential is only being sped up by 50 milliseconds, which is almost nothing. But the practical time to kill is getting sped up because most people won't hit, 13 out of 15 shots to the head with the R9, or 15 out of 15 with the head. That's it's harder to do than you think. So that would do that, and that would do that, which means this can all get filled in for 12, 15, 12, 14, 12, 14. So roughly staying the same. That would go to 15, that would go to 17, that would go to 12, that would go to 15, that would go to 13, 15, 14, 12, 10, and 12. Those would be the time to kills to the head across the board for the R99. Next is the alternator, which we need to have a similar time to kill. So 8 is actually perfect. That was a complete fucking guess. What needs for 8 shots to kill, it needs to do like 21 damage. No. 22? 23. 23 damage is the minimum. So we'll have it do the bare minimum at 23. So what makes 23 a reality? That makes 23 a reality. That's bare minimum. 1.25. Yeah, 1.2. Yeah, we'll do 1.2. That'll round up to 23 just fine. That is exactly, that's pretty good though too. 1.22. Okay, so 1.22. How does that affect all this? 22, 19, 23, 20. Is that enough to reduce it? That is enough to reduce it when you're rounding. Make that go down to 19. But that's probably a good thing though that it saves 1. So we'll do that. Then that makes it 20 for sure. And then that would go to 24. Yeah. Okay, 1.22 is better. That's a better scaling for that. So that would go to 10, 11, 9, 10, 8, 9, 7, 8, 6, 7. 1 sec. Okay. It's dinner time, so we're planning that out and seeing what we want to do. But we just got everything all worked up so we can get in a groove too, which is a bummer that the timing worked out like that. But that is all of that. The Prowler needs the same thing. So how many headshots is that going to be? We have a higher rate of fire, so less shots. So 7, 8, 9. I guess high rate of fire, more shots. 10. Oh, that's actually perfect too. We want them to all be almost identical. So that is the plan. So 10. What's going to make it a 10 shot? 18 is what will make it a 10 shot. Perfect. So we have a cheat sheet to help us with that, by the way. We're not magic. It's just a cheat sheet. 1.3. Yeah, 1.3. There we go. Perfect. 16, 19, 16, 15, 17. 14, 11, 12, 10, 12, 9, 10, 8, 9. And that gives us the time to kills for those. And those are all pretty similar. And so you can see the alternator takes over ahead here. So if you were to get it that early, which I don't think I'm going to have it spawning that early, that would be an advantage. And then you can see the alternator keeps that advantage against people with blue. And then it, you know, ties up here. It loses the advantage to the R9 here, and then the R9 takes over again. So this is where at this helmet, this is what we're looking for. By the way, that change for having a one helmet difference is enough to change up who wins by a significant margin. So wait. Oh, okay. I'm like, that's how I saw that time to kill get lower, and I was like, the fuck? How did that happen? How did the time to kill get faster? These numbers should get bigger as you go this way, not smaller. So if they're bigger, that you did something wrong. So I mean, if they're smaller, you did something wrong. So we did something wrong there, but that's a good advantage, especially over the alternator. That's a pretty significant advantage. So the R9 is going to have its place to the head more than the alternator against level 3 helmets, but against level 2 helmets, because of the way that the math works out, they'll tie. So this is a slight reason to keep an R9 over the alternator, but the alternator will have a bigger mag capacity as well. So this will be easier to use, especially because of the rate of fire. But this can be technically faster, which is a goal. That is kind of what we wanted. Now moving on to the RE, the middle yellow one, we need a 0.99 time to kill. So obviously not 50. That's not going to work. Perfect. What would 11 be? Yeah, nope. 12 is perfect. So to get 12 shot to kill, we need 15 or 16 damage. There's a couple options there. So if we had it do 16 damage, then what would that make our options? So if we wanted to get that up to 16, 1.2 is perfect. Then that would help against fortified legends more if we did 16 versus 15 damage, which is kind of the goal with this guy, to help give it a bit more of a competitive edge. It means giving it the upper end of that shot to kill, so that we can have that 12, 13, because there's a chance where this maybe goes to 14 if we have it do 15 damage instead. So that's what we're hoping. This definitely would have gone to 11, but now it's 10, so that's good as well. So that is enough reason to know that if I reduce the damage, that would go to one more shot to 11, and then that would make it too far behind all these guys. But at 10, you can see that's still very competitive early game with the best SMGs, which is exactly what I want. Where competitively, it in the early game, this is just as good to the head as the other guns, which is the surprising tribute. But at the same time, by end game, it's behind. So this is exactly what I want to see. Where early game and even mid game, it's competitive, but by end game, not so great. Even kind of staying competitive into the re-getting that advantage here and then losing it again here. So this is where it situationally could win in a legit firefight, even though it is obviously has a lot more downsides. It's not going to be as more consistent. This is going to have worse limb damage, but it's still by no means an unusable gun. You could have people who prefer it. So because again, the RE45 like doesn't have to be a complete garbage. Like it's finding its way into the meta. This frankly a little bit more than I anticipated. So that's not quite what I was expecting, especially in the fortified damages. I was expecting that to be quite a bit further behind. So there is maybe we do put that down to 15. Maybe we do go to a 1.1 and then make that 15 and see if this actually affects the shots to kill it all. It's not affecting that at all. It is affecting that. It is affecting this, and it is affecting this. So end game, none of that changed, which is surprising. That's what I was hoping to change. This didn't change at all. And this did change. That went up to 14, so that makes a bit more sense here. But now I've also ruined the early game advantages of the RE45, which is kind of the reverse of what Respawn wants with this particular weapon. Granted, the RE45 at the moment is kind of like all around, like always worse. There's never really a time when it particularly shines out. And so this would be a good way to make sure that in general, the RE45 is still a fast killing gun, but it's not going to completely dominate the same way that the other guns would, which is again still a thing in the game. So this could be the better avenue for this particular weapon, because especially against fortified enemies, it's going to feel like it's not as effective, which is good because it is a handgun. We do want it to feel less effective against the big guys. Definitely losing that edge in fortified, but against regular enemies is doing pretty good. So this is going to add, I guess, what you would call a level of inconsistency to the firearm. Oh, actually, this is supposed to change too, and that's supposed to change. Never mind. So that you can ignore everything I just said, because now this is definitely losing its early game potential. It's still, again, still fast, but it's definitely losing the early game edge that it had competing with the top 3 guns in the game, and now it's definitely behind the top 3 guns in the game. And then it catches up in late game, but not quite enough, and then definitely holds its own in late game if they have level 3 helmet, and then loses that advantage if they have red as well. So that overall is a pretty good transition where it's holding you back early game, but then it can be usable in the end game, and that is I guess a good overall position for the RE and the Volt, because all the SMG should be somewhat usable. So I will probably keep that where it is. Then the Volt needs to be even slower. No, the Volt's faster. Yeah, because the RE is at 0.9. Volt's at 0.94. Let's double check that. Yes. Yeah. The Volt's even faster. So for the Volt to have that time to kill, it's probably going to be... Oops. Oh, yeah, that's actually perfect. Well, that's actually really close to where those guys ended up. Because if I was to make the R9 a 12 shot, that would be too fast. That had to stay 13. If I was to make this a 7 shot, that'd be too fast. If I was going to make this a 9 shot, that'd be too fast. So it had to be 10, which means this had to be that. Means this has to slow down, which means maybe this should slow down to a 13, which would be 1.05, which is a bigger gap, which also means a smaller headshot multiplier, a really small headshot multiplier, like no headshot. Yeah, no headshot multiplier for the RE. Because it kills in 1.05 to the body. That could be the downside of the RE is no headshot multiplier. But then it also would have to have the other upside of no limb fall off as well. So where the RE45 is just always that minimum damage, because I can't give it leg damage and no headshot multiplier, then there's no incentive to using it. So it could be that more tried and true steady of the SMGs and yeah, I like that. Where this is going to find its place by always being 1.05. That's what it is. That's the time to kill. If you hit every shot consecutively, is 1.05. There is no guesswork, there's no wiggle room. It's just this is how it kills. It's that dependable kind of more all-around gun that I guess you could call it the alternator right now, but people would be, I mean, the alternator or the Volt, they'd be weird if you did that. You know, people would be like, I don't know if I like this. Now I don't aim for the head and you know. So for the RE to just be that easy kind of
you know, you can get the timing down right, you can get the reload down right, stuff like that. It's an easier to use gun than the rest of them that maybe have that skill incentive, which also means that we could increase the rate of fire, maybe get the time to kill down lower, but it's still gonna definitely beat out ARs. And even with some of the ARs headshot multipliers, especially like stuff like the, you know, the LMGs, the Devotion, the Spitfire, the Wingman, the Havoc, the Hemlock, it's gonna beat those guys. Even if they hit headshots on you, it's still going to beat them, and it's going to be competitive with the L-Star. It might lose the 301, it will lose the Flatline, and it's going to lose to the Havoc. But there's still a vast portion of the guns in the game, you know, where the RA45 is going to be a faster time to kill. So it doesn't have to be like one of the best overall, but overall in category rather. But it's best overall in the game, but not in category. So I think that might be the way to take it. I think that might be the way to take it. Also, this is all gonna, I think, throw off everything else. But I'll take it that way, where the RA45 just doesn't get a headshot multiplier, and that didn't mess up. Okay, good. I don't like when it messes up this stuff. It's annoying when it messes up this stuff. So then the volts can go down to 0.94 or even higher up. Actually, it could take the spot around the 0.95 mark that the RE recently had at 0.98. That could be where the volt comes into play, where it's a little bit slower. And I think that's going to be the route we take it. So it needs to go to a 10-shot kill. A 10-shot kill means 18, and it does 17, so this is going to be very small. 1.1. This is more along what the thing did. The RE. Still going to be 18. 19. No, that's still 18. That's still 15. So that, yeah, basically, it's just no matter what helmet they have, it's the same time to kill. That's kind of how it works out. I could give it a little bit higher. Nope. Yeah, because that would still round down. That would still round. Yeah, that's still round. That would still round. That would go up, and that would go. So that would give it a 19 against level 1 early game, which would give it an 8, which is more competitive with what they have. So that I think that's probably worth it, because if it was a 9, that's pretty far behind, but an 8 is pretty good. So do that. Okay, and then that stays. It picks back up its competitiveness here, and then it's far behind here, but then just as good here, and then worse there. Yeah. And again, this is going to have the best range in class too. So that's kind of what we're aiming for here. So that 1.12 is going to be what we're looking for the volt, and that'll do. Then this is where it's going to get a bit trickier, because this is double tap, and it's going to be removing that burst delay. So yeah, this is where it's going to get tricky. Next, so what do we need? The Havoc was going to be the same as the other stuff, right? That's what we had the Havoc at. We had the Havoc actually beating the Volt and tying that, and that was because the headshot multiplier needed to be good enough that the Havoc got a good enough buff on the other end of it as well. So this would be 0.85. Oh, I didn't actually. The numbers. Let's do that. But Havoc would be 9. The flat line is going to be 0.95. And then that's going to be R3. 2. And then the L star to 1.0. 9. And I know that this is gonna seem like there's just not enough difference between the guns, and I mean it. That wouldn't be a lie. Like there, a lot of the guns are gonna feel super similar, uh, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of the guns are going to feel super similar. Every gun's going to feel snappy. Every gun's going to feel like it has a place, and that's kind of the point. I don't like how in a lot of video games that there's some guns that just never become useful, and like the Scar in Warzone, that's not a great gun. Or the what would it be? There's the equivalent in PUBG too. Like the Tommy gun's not great in PUBG, but it can be okay, like that whole thing. Call of Duty has those guns too, where they're just so far out that they're not great. Battlefield, on the other hand, that partially attributed to how quick the time to kills were. That especially Battlefield 3, that game had 88 guns, and a lot of the difference between those guns wasn't time to kill. It was handleability. It was recoil. It was attachments. It was all the other things in that game that made those weapons different without having to have some be blatantly outclassed in time to kill. And I believe that Apex can achieve this on a smaller scale. I think that just because you have 23 guns instead of 88 doesn't mean that you need to have 3 or 4 or 5 of them be completely useless, and then have some of them be the obvious answer and then the rest be mediocre in their own right along the way. So I would advocate for the more Battlefield approach, which is where a lot of the guns are super similar, but they behave different. They maybe have different aim down sight times. They have, we can get into weapon swap times and have some guns weapon swap slower or faster than others as well. I mean, Call of Duty did that fantastically, where they had guns with similar time to kills, but other inherent issues that made people prefer one over the other, that still gave them a chance in situations, but also allowed there to be a clear-cut meta without having to have super unfair time to kills. So I think what we want to focus on is that by class, there's still inherent differences in time to kill, inherent bad things with large enough gaps where if you go from long range to close range always wins. Like there's enough of a gap between the 30-30 and the Volt to where the Volt is going to win against the 30-30 almost every single time. 400 milliseconds is a long time, and you have to remember that missed shots for the 30-30 cost you a lot more than the Volt. So, and then even technically if the 30-30 hit headshots, even if they did that, you'd still win. So you have to remember that too. There is a big enough gap. There's a big enough gap between the Hemlock and the Volt that you're going to win against the Hemlock. That kind of thing. It's not going to be as wide of a gap. You're not going to win by as big of a margin, but if you're the better player, if you're more accurate, then you can. You can still definitely win by a larger margin against worse players, but against similar skilled players, it's not going to be the runaway that it was. There's going to be a lot more focus on accuracy, more than there already is, and not because of the high shot to kill, but because of how competitive the time to kills are with each other, that you could be using the meta gun, hit less shots than your opponent, and lose, where right now there's some guns that are so far apart in time to kill that even if your opponent hit every single shot, you could miss 4, 5, 6 shots and still kill them faster. And that's something that isn't going to be the case in this meta. The gaps are so much slower that in most scenarios, it will come down to who is more accurate, not just who has what gun. And that is what I vastly prefer. I don't want it to be where I find a Hemlock or a Devotion and I just go ew and throw it away because I can't use that damn thing. or because the devotion will get me killed from time to kill. The hemlock is so difficult to control that getting that max time to kill, that best time to kill, that actually beats most of the guns in the game, or actually all the guns in the game, it's the fastest time to kill in the game at 1.14 seconds. It is completely unreasonable to get that time to kill. So there's no point in using it. And on top of that, how punishing the burst delay is. The minute you miss, the minute it takes one extra burst than it should is when you die, because that extra burst takes so long that everything else kills you. So it's so finicky to use. There's no risk versus reward because you're barely beating SMGs. So there's no point in using it up close, and you can't use it at range. So it's a never pick up. And there's just too many guns like that in Apex for me. There's just too many. For me, the RE45 is a never pick up. The Alternator is a maybe pick up. The Havoc for me is a never pick up. The Havoc's a never pick up. The Flatline's a situational pick up. The L-Star is basically a never pick up. The Devotion's a never pick up. The Hemlock's never pick up. The Wingman I'm not good enough with, but can be used. The Spitfire for me is if I'm having a shit day and want to hip fire, then yeah, it can do okay, but I can still get beat pretty easy. Obviously, P2020 never pick up. The Devotion, like we already said, never pick up. I basically never pick up the 3030. I sometimes pick up the G7. I will at times run anvils. I almost never take the triple take, but now that it's in care package, it's much better than it was ground loot, so I can sometimes take up the triple take, but that's only if I don't get a Kraber. I basically never pick up the Longbow. I never pick up the Sentinel. I definitely never pick up the Charge. And that's every other gun in the game. Like, if I look up the guns that I use that don't get me killed, it would be the Kraber, maybe the triple take, the G7, so 3 guns, if I'm being generous. If I'm not, 2 guns that don't get me killed. I guess the Spitfire, but like kind of not really. Like, I can use it, it's okay, but it can still definitely get me killed. So 4 if I'm being generous, 2 if I'm not. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 guns of 23 that I pick up. Half of them I avoid like they're the plague, because there's just not enough upsides. Or they take a gold piece of loot, and then even with the gold piece of loot, there's still not enough upsides compared to the difference in time to kill between the Havoc with Turbo and the R301, which obviously the R301 is better at range. It's a 80 millisecond time to kill difference. And 80 milliseconds is nothing. So by increasing that to 180 milliseconds, now there's a reason to pick up the Havoc. Now there's a reason to use the Havoc with double tap over the R301, because it will beat handily the Flatline and the R3. The Flatline is basically the same. It's a 20 millisecond difference between the Havoc with Turbo and the Flatline. So why would I carry around a Havoc for the same benefit of a Flatline? And why would I use a Flatline when I can find an R3? So, like, there's not a reason to keep a Flatline over the R301. It's just I use the Flatline until I can find an R3, or if I have an extended mag for light, then I just run an Alternator instead of the R301, because the range is almost the same. So why would I matter? The muzzle velocities are so similar that the only thing I'm really doing is different recoil. And on top of that, the Alternator not only can hold the mag, but it can hold the stabilizer. So there's a really good reason to pick up the Alternator in lieu of the Flatline as an R301 replacement, which if that was in the care package, I can't do. And now all of a sudden it's the RE45 or the Flatline. And if you increase the muzzle velocity of the Flatline and not the RE, then there becomes a very clear cut, like, I'm going to run a Flatline till I find an R3, not, oh, I have some of the attachments, so I'm going to run an Alternator instead. Or there won't be enough upsides to wanting to run that RE. There may be some, right? Like I said before, you could do okay with it. Like up close, it's going to do much better than everything else, but it won't have the range. So you can have that consistency up close if you would prefer it over the others, but it's still going to be not great. It's still going to be not great. It's going to be a lot more of a disadvantage in my build than it would running an Alternator over the Flatline versus if you run an RE over the Flatline in my build. The RE is going to be much worse at range than the Flatline. But again, the RE will hold the attachments that you need for the R301 beside a standard stock. So is that worth keeping the stabilizer and light mag out of your backpack for the sacrifice of range, versus the alternator, you already get the range that the flatline has, and it holds all the attachments, and it's the same ammo type. So it kind of that's a huge reason to put the alternator in the care package. Huge reason alone. To make that not a thing, because then you have to run an R9 instead. If you don't want to run the RE, then it's the alternator, and the R9. Sorry, if you don't want to run the RE, then you have to run the R9, and then the R9 is completely different from the R3. Like it's okay, but it's got worse recoil at range over sustained fire, because the recoil gets worse in the R9 the longer you fire it, versus the R3 it gets better. And then on top of that, it's going to have the same range problem, but it will be better up close. So if you're looking for an AR, unless you want to run double R9, or if you're going to run R9 RE45, you have to go off of light ammo, or you run the new LMG. That's the other option, but that has a way worse time to kill than the flatline. So there's actual choices that you have to make, and concessions that need to be made, not just the obvious 1, 2, 3 looting step. And that's what that's one of the things I don't like about Apex, is the obvious 1, 2, 3 looting step. Because every game plays the same way. Every single game, the looting never changes. If you want to have the best chance of winning, then you have to keep looting and looking for the same things every single game. You can't, there's no adjusting with where the ring pulled. There's no, playing position until you end up in the right situation for your gun to have an advantage. Because they all do so well. All the meta guns do so well in every playstyle that there is no, like, maybe I do this, maybe I do that. It's just, is it time to do this? Is it time to do that? There's no questioning what you should do. It's just, when is it time to do that? And that's just kind of how Apex feels with their gun meta, and I don't like that. I've had enough of that. That's boring to me now. After 2 years, way less than 2 years, it's gotten boring. And now that there's actually good games coming out, or that there's good games on sale that I can buy instead of this, I literally already bought them. I didn't wait to be done with this project. They're on sale now. I spent $40 on 4 Battlefield games. I am playing them when I'm done with this. I don't have plans to play a lot of Apex anymore. I was going to play Apex till Battlefield came out in October, but then they put them all on sale. So I don't have to wait till October to play Battlefield. I can go play Battlefield when I'm done with this, and Satisfactory when I'm done with this. But that's kind of how it is now. I'll play Apex from time to time. If some viewers want to play Apex, then hit me up on Discord, and maybe we'll play some Apex together. But I am very happy to move on from Apex, because it's just been 2 years of compromises for me. I'm not playing a game that I want to play. I'm playing a game that I have no other option to play. So I'm very happy to be moving on from Apex, because it's been this constant disappointment and tedious repetition, monotonous rather repetition. I get to be strategic with my brain, because it's a battle royale and there's consequences to what I do, but that's as far as the enjoyment goes. So there's games that do that better, like PUBG, but PUBG doesn't fucking work, so I don't play PUBG. And the movement system's garbage in PUBG. I can't stand PUBG movement. And when I say PUBG doesn't work on Xbox, I think it went free to play now, so I could get it on PC. But I don't have a huge interest in doing that, so I probably won't do that. Maybe movement feels better on PC, but movement feels like complete garbage on console. I can't stand PUBG movement on console, and granted, maybe it got better, but it was so bad. I don't care to find out, because if it is the same, I will immediately fucking leave, and it will be a waste of time. So I don't feel like the potential, it's so bad that I don't even want to potentially waste my time. So they can just fuck off. I was writing stuff down, wasn't I? 1 sec. I already clicked away. So R99 is Alt and Prowler are both RE is the same at 1.5, and then Volt is 0.9. Okay. And so what we do here for headshots is we do that, and then we go up to home and we put this on no fill, and that becomes the headshot holder like that. And then that goes up to 0.98, which is that one at 0.98. And so that's how we do headshots on this one. So the gray one is the light gray one rather is this one. The dark gray ends up being limb, and the white is headshots. That is how I identify them. And we'll go ahead and do the headshot damages on these guys, these 4, and then we're going to call that a day and wrap up the stream. I have some stuff I need to do as well. So Havoc double tap needs to be nope, you can go away, Linktree. Thank you though. That needs to be 0.85 to 0.89. So what's a 10 shot? Nope. 8 shot. That's close enough. Yeah, that's close enough. 0.91's fine. What would 7 be? Yep. 0.91 is perfect. I love 0.91. I didn't mean to write 0.89. I meant to write 0.91. Right. And if it's an 8 shot, then that means it has to 23 to 25 health. So we'll do 20. We'll do 25 so that the headshot multiplier is bigger for when we do the AR range. So this is the highest we can go. Which means that it needs to be 25 damage, and it does 18, so that would be 1.2, 1.25. Nope, 1.5. Oh, more than 1.5. Okay, well maybe we'll just give it a 1.5 then, and put it up to 24. Because that could be fine at 24, because I don't know if I want to give it, at 1.75 would be too high, and 1.5 is competitive with everything else. We'll put this down to 24. And then that'll be 19, that'll be 23, that'll be 20, that'll be 26, and that'll be 21. And that will be enough. That'll be enough. Okay. Because what I don't want to go too much higher than 1.5. Currently the errors have a 1.75 across the board. I don't necessarily need that to be the case. So we're gonna do that. Flatline needs to be 0.9 0.99. Whoops. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Otherwise 7's too slow. So 7's too fast, so 8 shots again. Which means the same thing, but this will go up to 25. This will definitely do 25 because it's going to be easier. And so 1.5 is actually going to be too high. So 1.25, 1.3, 1.4, 1.35 for 25. Which means 21, 26, 22. So this is already going to have a difference in the number of shots, which is good. That's going to go up to 24. So that's already better than the other one with some similarities, which is fine. Which is going to, again, give the Havoc room to do better while also leaving it room to do worse, which is what we want. That's a dynamic weapon meta. So 7, 6, 8, 7. Oh, no, it's all the same. Oh, no, here it is. There's the difference. There's a difference there. So they tie to 180 level 3 helmet and tie to 200 level 3 helmet on Fortified. So there's the very small differences. And they're otherwise super competitive and almost the same. So that's okay too. So we give the Havoc 0.91, Flatline 1.0. R3 is 1.0 to 1.4, which now feels like that needs to be slower down to the 1.05. Hellstar needs to be slower. 2. So let's figure out the consequences of that, by the way. So the Havoc turns into 0.91, which should be right there. 0.91. And then the flat line turns into, whoops, 1.0, which is there. Okay. And then the R3 would have to turn into that. Or the R3 could tie the flat line. That could be okay too. It could basically tie it, then the L-star could be further back here, which would give room for the R3 to have some competition with the flat line and not have it necessarily always win. And that would be healthy too. So we can do that, and that could be like 1.05 or something like that. But okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's an okay idea. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's perfect. It's crazy how that works out, man. Just fucking guessing at where I would like them to go and what those ranges are going to be. And there's such small differences, but it's most of the time it's enough how that just works out. And 11 means that it has to do 17. So that's what we're aiming for. And it does 14. So 1.2, 1.3, I mean, is enough. How's 1.4 is obviously too high. 1.35 is 1.3 should be enough. We'll check out 1.3, or we could give them the same multiplier. They could both have 1.35. That would work. That's still 17. That puts that up to 14, which it wouldn't have been, likely wouldn't have been before. That still stays at 16. That goes up to 15. That goes to 18. That goes to 16. That definitely wouldn't have been the same. So that is going to make it better against fortified enemies. Okay. Which makes that super competitive. Holy shit, that makes it very competitive with the flat line. Very competitive with the flat line to the head. Okay. Yeah, they're going to be almost the same to the head. But then anvils is where this is probably going to differ as well. Which also would be a reason to give the R31 a lower headshot multiplier to make sure that anvils do a significant amount more damage. Which I think is going to be the right move. And 1.3 is enough to... That 0.5 doesn't sound like a lot, but it is going to be enough to solidify some changes here. And that's so this is the only difference then. This goes from 9 to 10, which helps the flat line take the advantage early game. So that's a good decision. And it'll help us down the road with the damages a little bit. But again, unless we change the body, there's not going to be a huge difference because we're going to have to go off of this, not this. So this number is what's going to go down. So this situationally with the anvils is going to be better, but otherwise it should be about the same relation. And then the L-star is our last one. The L-star needed time to kill 1.05 to 1.09. We're going to have that be closer to the 09 mark. Which looks like it's going to be 1.12 because I can't give it a 6 shot. That's too hard. So 7 it is. And 7 damage, 7 shots means 26 to 29. And so we're going to give that the very bottom one to start, and we'll see how that goes. But it's a 23, so that's a 1.3. No, one. Oh, you know what? That's fine. We'll give it a 1.3 just like the R301. We'll boost that up to 28. Give that 23. Give that 26. 24, 29, 25. That's fine. I don't want the L-star to have like such a small multiplier that people are like, well, why would I even hit headshots with it? You know, especially with it having a longer ADS time, the headshot multiplier needs to be noticeable. And that's definitely enough to go, that's noticed. 28 versus 23. It's not a whole lot, but it's enough. It's not a whole lot, but it's enough. So 8, 9, 7, 8, 7, 8, 6, 7, 5, and 6. So still competitive, but still behind. That's very competitive. Behind, competitive. Yeah. So situationally, it's going to not be perfect, but it's still competitive. So there is that. And so we're going to give that 1 point. That 1 point. this is what I meant when we were making stuff. I have to make certain concessions. 1.12 is all the way up here, but it's what was the right call to make. So it's not what I wanted to do. I wanted it to be a closer call, but I can't, obviously I can't put it way down here. So I just have to concede. There's no point in forcing it to go exactly where I want. I mean, I'm not going to rework the entire L-Star, TTK, and all that kind of stuff to get the headshot to go right where I want it, because the body is where I prefer. So I'm okay with it being the same as the flat line to the body to the head, because it is an LMG. So there's that. But it's, you know, the most competitive in terms of time to kill of all the SMGs, because it's still faster to the head than the Spitfire, which this will probably get nerfed a bit. And then it's still going to be faster than a Devotion. So of all the LMGs, it's still the best, which is actually the case in Apex right now, in case you didn't know. The L-Star is the best LMG. But there's just not a lot of reasons to pick it up. So I give it a pretty good buff to make it usable and something that actually like can do well. Again, none of it's overpowered, but all of this is too tight together for anything to be overpowered. That's another thing too. Nothing is going to be super noticeably worse or different than anything else, because this is all so close together that it's going to be more by class or by far end of the spectrum where something is noticeably worse or better. So there's that. But that is going to do it. I think that's going to do it for this episode. So thank you everyone for coming by, but it's 7 o'clock and I need to eat. So we have wrapped up the body time to kills. We're moving into headshot time to kills, plotting all this stuff out. It's coming together pretty well. And so we're going to keep going with this and finish up all this kind of stuff as we go along. And if you guys you know, watch this and just like the background noise, that's totally fine too. Appreciate the views. If you guys want to come by and do this live with me, then that's always super fun, and we can always go into questions and stuff like that and move on that way. If you would like a more formal Q&A session, then please go to the Discord and deal with that. You can also reach me on Twitter. I've been more active on that recently. You can also reach out on a what is it? I guess a YouTube comment would be okay too. I check all the notifications fairly regularly, so I'll definitely get to it within a day or two if it's on like YouTube. But Twitter, I'm checking frequently. Never really thought I'd be a Twitter person, but I've been enjoying Twitter. And you know, Twitch, I check all those notifications and stuff too. But in the Discord, I'm checking more often as well. So the Discord is definitely the best place to do it. It's more organized. If you can't do it on Discord, then come by live, and then we can add it to Discord during the stream. And that would do it. If you're watching the repeat on YouTube, which isn't even on yet, and it probably won't. I probably won't even put this on YouTube, to be honest. I might let this die on Twitch. Yeah, so we'll probably do that. This is open work. It doesn't need to be archived. It's just, you know, come by and chat and have questions, or just watch the rerun if you want to be up to date on what's happening or stuff like that. So you know, Discord for questions, live for questions too if you need to, and yeah, I mean that's there's not much to say about this. We're just kind of going through it. I hope you guys are enjoying the math side of it as well. This is going to be something that I want to do more often on the channel. So hopefully those explanations made sense. If they didn't make sense, then I can clarify, and hopefully we can explain that in a way that does make sense. Because I want this to be accessible. I want you to be able to do it too. You know, if you guys are comfortable with Excel the same way that I am, then I want you to know how I'm using the equations, where I'm putting reference cells and stuff like that, that when I do the informational videos covering all of the data, you can actually go, oh, I know how he made that data, and it'll help you trust the data as well. As on top of you being able to go in and make changes, and I'll make this document public as well at the end. I think in order to protect the integrity of the work, I'm going to publish it as a PDF, and then you can then copy or go from it in that manner. but in order to protect me a bit more and this work, I'll publish it as a PDF, not as the original file. That way, in case Respawn does like the work and they want to use it, I can be like, hey, like, this is my work. I've got the streams to prove it. I've got the original document to prove it. That was never published. That kind of thing. Like, look at the date it was created. All those kind of things. Because I would very much like to get compensated for this work if it does get used. And in an ideal situation, I would love to be hands-on with Respawn and help develop this idea more, and help troubleshoot and problem solve, and even to be able to help with the strategy of reducing community blowback. Because I even that's going to be part of this video, is how I would release this in stages across a couple seasons to make sure that the community doesn't just decide to kill me and leave Apex. So you know, we need to start conditioning them to these changes, and that is you know, what I would do. You know, there's different stages of doing this. So yeah, that's what I would do so far. And I think the easiest way is when you introduce that new light machine gun, to do the Spitfire rework. You know, when I release the new LMG, I would rework the Devotion, I'd rework the Spitfire, and then you know, go from there. And if you rework if you did the Devotion, then you'd have to get rid of Turbo. Then I'd probably bring back, if I got rid of Turbo, I would probably bring back the Choke, because that's less work than bringing back the, or you just remove Turbo together, because you already have 5 hop-ups in the game, so you can just get rid of Turbo and not put anything in, because you already have 5 hop-ups. So just get rid of Turbo, don't replace it with anything, just get rid of Turbo, rework the Devotion, add the new, rework the Spitfire, rework the Havoc, and then leave the Havoc with no double tap, open bolt delay, the same way that it would be in my version, and then later add double tap with, you know, add the double tap changes when everything comes in, that kind of thing. Like, there's different stages you can add all this stuff in to make it like less of a shock. That way some changes people are already used to and they're already playing, and then other changes haven't happened yet that they're gonna get to. But more notably, the Spitfire, that time to kill change has to happen later. But the damage buff would have to happen later. You could still slow the rate of fire, but you would have to increase. I'd increase the damage a little bit, not a lot. Slow the rate of fire. Anyway, that's a whole nother video. That's like a whole nother series of videos to cover how I would implement these changes. And those aren't total complete thoughts yet either, because it doesn't matter about how I implement changes if I don't know what all the changes are. So I need to finish the changes, then I can know how to implement them. So anyway, end of stream officially. Goodbye. Get the fuck out. Go have a good day. Go support another Twitch streamer or YouTuber or something, or just do something important and stop being so goddamn fucking lazy. And I'll see you guys on Twitter if you want to come hang on Twitter. I'll see you in the next stream if you want to come by live, and if you want to, you know, join the Discord and do that, that'd be great too. So, you know, support the community any way you want to, any way you can. And thank you for watching, making it this far, and I appreciate your interest in the series, and I hope you continue that. Please don't forget to catch up on all the other videos in the series as well. They are going to be somewhat important, not necessarily the open work ones, but the other videos for sure. Every open work video kind of has a new thing that we're explaining, so if you want to be up to date with everything that we've done, if I've done anything in this video that didn't make sense, then other videos are going to be important, because so far every time I do something new, I'm explaining it. So if I didn't explain something that doesn't make sense, there's a good chance it's been covered in one of the previous videos. And if that isn't the case, or you would like me to do it again in a different way, then please come by live and let me know. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one.